Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Konoha, Harem chat group, I can make up the future. Chapter 41. Not long after, the four beauties of Konoha came to the door. Ino, why are you here? And you all? Seeing the four girls outside the door, each with his own merits, Miu Miu pretended to be surprised. Ino took Tiantian's arm and said with a smile, Miu Miu, we are a group to come to your house for dinner. You won't be unwelcome, right? Miu Miu was stunned for a while, and quickly opened the door and said, how could it be, come in. Several beautiful women came to see me together. If others knew, they would definitely be envious. How could I not welcome them? It's mainly because I was not mentally prepared. I was shocked. I wondered if you had come to the wrong place. Hehe, it's not like I haven't been here before, how could I recognize the wrong place? Ino laughed and gave Miu Miu an approving look. She was called a beautiful woman, which made her very happy. Ino greeted the others and said, everyone, please sit down. The place is quite narrow. Please forgive me for not being so nice. Miu Miu, little Sakura complained, come on, you're talking as if this is your home. Don't you think you're the hostess here? You, get out. Ino's face turned red. She could say anything in private, and she could say anything bold. But now in front of Miu Miu, how could she say it so bluntly? Even if she thought so in her heart, she shouldn't say it out loud. Tiantian ignored the two people who were playing around and walked straight to Miu Miu and said, hello, Miu Miu, my name is Tiantian. I am a senior who is 1 year older than you. I have been a genin for a year. We have a good relationship in private. Today was supposed to be a party to celebrate their becoming ninjas, but I don't know why. We couldn't find a suitable party place after searching around. Then we thought about choosing one of them to get together at their home, but it's not convenient for all of us to get together at home. Then Jingbao, Ino thought of you. I'm really sorry for not saying hello to you in advance. If we disturb you, we will leave now. Tiantian acted generously and took the bags that they brought with them and said, in fact, we all brought a lot of delicious food. We didn't really want to take advantage of you. Tiantian's excuse was very lame. He couldn't find a suitable party place, so he ran to Miu Miu's house. What kind of excuse is this? Considering the time was short and the girls were still young, it was enough to have a reasonable excuse. Miu Miu didn't point it out, and said happily, Tiantian, senior sister, it's a pleasure to meet you, and everyone, it's my honor that you can come. Like Ino said just now, everyone can sit anywhere, just treat this place as your own home, no need to be restrained. I'm usually alone at home, it will be much more lively with you coming, I'm so happy, how can I not agree? Ino said proudly. I told you, Miu Miu is a very approachable person, he will definitely not mind. Little Sakura pouted and said, he doesn't mind, so you are not polite, right? Fortunately, I reminded you just now, otherwise you are still planning to come empty-handed. Ino was a little embarrassed, raised her hand and hit little Sakura, and said shyly, if you don't speak, no one will think you are dumb, you like to tear me down for no reason, right? You said it so righteously, otherwise you leave. Why should I leave? Little Sakura said as if it was a matter of course. I also paid for the fruit, I didn't really come here to eat and drink for free, and Miu Miu and I are classmates, he didn't chase me away. Miu Miu smiled and said, you two have a really good relationship. Who has a good relationship with her? The two girls refuted in unison, which only proved Miu Miu's words. Miu Miu took the bags from Tiantian's hand, looked at them and said, then you sit down and chat for a while, I'll go and deal with these. I'm also going to start making dinner. Tiantian said quickly, let me help you. Ino also hurriedly stood up and said, I'll help too. Little Sakura and Hinata naturally wouldn't sit there and stood up to speak. Miu Miu waved his hand and said, no, these things are easy to handle. We'll have hot pot later, and these are just right. You sit down and it will be done soon. That being said, Tiantian still insisted on helping. If you have hot pot, you only need to wash and cut the vegetables, mix the hot pot base, and wait for the water to boil. With the physical fitness of a ninja, these things can be done quickly. With Tiantian's help, other people's intervention will only get in the way. Miu Miu, are you too tall? Tiantian almost let it slip. Although this was her first contact with Miu Miu, she saw him at the dessert shop the day before yesterday, and she also saw Miu Miu through Ino's live video broadcast these 2 days. So she was very surprised by the changes in Miu Miu after he awakened the wood style. Although it was the same in the future video, after all, it was separated by a screen, and she didn't feel so deeply from close contact. Now Mumu is no longer a nobody, but a handsome guy. Mumu stretched out his hand and compared himself. He was only half a head taller than Tiantian. He smiled and said, "It's okay, boys of this age grow faster. I'm just a little taller than you." Tiantian complained, "I'm a year taller than you. But you're a girl, too. It's normal for girls to be shorter than boys." Mumu didn't dwell on this topic and quickly changed the subject, saying, "It should be okay if you cut it into thin slices." "No problem." Tiantian gestured. She is very good at using knives. With the cooperation of the two, all the ingredients were prepared in a few minutes. On the other side, Ino and the others were also talking about Mumu's image changes in the chat. Yamanaka Ino. Mumu-kun looks really handsome now. Is appearance related to strength? If I work hard to practice, can I become the most beautiful woman in the ninja world? Haruno Sakura. Forget about it. With your foundation, you can't become the most beautiful woman even if you improve a few levels. I am different. Yamanaka Ino. Go to bed early at night and have a good dream. There is everything in the dream. Uzumaki. I envy you guys for having dinner with Mumu-kun. I have to endure it for a few more days. Ah, not only can you see what's going on in the kitchen while sitting in the living room, you can even hear their conversation. If Tiantian really wants to take advantage of the opportunity to do something to Miu Miu, Ino will definitely be the first to rush in to stop him. Yes, this is the best girlfriend. Wow, this is really delicious, Mumu-kun, you should try it too. Ino took a bite of the beef slice, showing an exaggerated expression, and then handed the remaining half to Mumu's mouth. Mumu did not dislike it, and opened his mouth to eat the remaining half. How is it? It's delicious, right? Ino looked at Mumu with a smile. Her pretty face was slightly flushed, and it was impossible to see clearly if you didn't pay attention. Mumu smiled and nodded, saying, "It's really good, and the taste is quite authentic. The ninja world may have a special breeding method, and the taste of this beef is indeed better than the world before crossing." Ino wanted to say more, but little Sakura suddenly slammed the chopsticks on the table and scolded, "That's enough. There are others here, and now it's hot pot, don't make it seem like you cooked the dish." For little Sakura's temper, Ino has long been accustomed to it. Hearing this, she was not angry at all. Instead, she made a face at her and said with a smile, "I am happy." "What does it have to do with you? Miu Mujun didn't say anything to me. Why are you so anxious? Are you jealous? Who is jealous of you? You are affecting my appetite now." Little Sakura rolled her eyes, but she was very angry. Tiantian tried to smooth things over and said, Okay, it's rare to come to Miu Mujun's house for dinner, so don't quarrel all the time. Can you two restrain yourself? If Miu Mujun dislikes you, I won't help you." As she said this, she also gave a hidden look. The meaning was obviously to say that if Miu Miu stayed away from them, don't blame her for enjoying Miu Miu alone. Hearing this, Ino and little Sakura really restrained themselves a lot. Even little Sakura wanted to have a good relationship with Miu Miu and improve the group level. At first, it was just because of the picture of marrying Miu Miu when she grew up that made her feel resistant to Miu Miu. But after getting to know each other for a few days, and with Miu Miu's performance in the future video, little Sakura didn't say she had fallen in love with someone else, but at least she liked Miu Miu more and more. Miu Miu smiled and said, "It's okay, I know you are all joking, and the quarrel will not affect your relationship. It's actually quite enviable to have such a good friend." The girls thought of Miu Miu's situation when they heard it. He has been alone since he was a child, and he doesn't have any classmates to talk to in school, and he doesn't have any relatives or friends. The girls are kind and emotional people, and they secretly decided that even if they didn't want to improve the group level, they would spend more time with Miu Miu in the future. Ino said directly, "You don't have to envy us, I am also your good friend now. Don't forget that I didn't get angry when you said those things to me last time." Miu Miu couldn't help but laugh, and nodded, "That's right, I have to thank Ino for being generous, I was just joking with you last time." There is a secret. The girls looked back and forth between the two of them with some suspicion. But the two of them obviously had no intention of explaining, and they couldn't ask further, so they could only say that they were all good friends now. Speaking of which, Ino and the others have passed the Jonin assessment and officially become genin. Is everything going well for you, Mumu-kun? Tiantian soon talked about other topics. They had already seen the answer from the future video, but they had to listen to Mumu's own words, otherwise what if he let it slip in the future? Little Sakura secretly complained in her heart, she hadn't taken the assessment yet, that unreliable teacher Kakashi. Miu Miu hesitated for a moment, pretending to be embarrassed, saying, actually, I was eliminated, but for some reasons, I was specially recruited into Anbu. Sorry, I can't go into detail about this. The girls all expressed their understanding and didn't care, and Tiantian even said, in this case, you are better than us. Anbu is not for just anyone. I remember that our team's Jonin teacher said that he had applied to join Anbu before, but was rejected. At that time, he was already a Jonin. Ah, so strict. Little Sakura was a little surprised, and then sighed, so, Miu Miu is really amazing. Miu Miu smiled shyly and said, no, it's just a coincidence. The few of them chatted while eating hot pot and drinking drinks, and more than 2 hours passed unknowingly. After eating some fruit after dinner, the night deepened, and there was silence outside the house. It was time for the girls to leave. While everyone else was packing up, Hinata, who had been very quiet, quietly came to Mumu and whispered to him to apologize for what happened last time. Don't worry, I'm not angry, and I don't blame her. Mumu smiled. When Hinata breathed a sigh of relief, he suddenly changed the subject and said, but please tell your sister a message for me. I will challenge her again in a while. She said I'm too weak, and I must prove myself. Ah, Hinata didn't expect Mumu to argue with a child. She was a little confused and didn't know whether she should agree. She knew that Mumu had awakened the wood style. In order to help Karen vent her anger, she almost let the entire Kusagaker village sacrifice to the sky. With such strength, how could Hanabi be an opponent? 100 Hanabis combined would not be enough for Mumu to fight. Miu Miu saw her embarrassment and worry, and said with a smile, don't worry, I won't really hurt her, it's just for fun. It can be seen that she is a very playful child, but the rules of your family should be very strict, right? Hinata nodded subconsciously and said softly, well, my father is very strict with us, and we are basically training at ordinary times. Only when I am alone can I see the smile on Hanabi's face. At this point, Hinata also realized that Miu Miu had good intentions, so she smiled and agreed to his request. Not only Hanabi is a sister control, Hinata herself is also a sister control. Soon, the girls cleaned up the house and left together. Originally, Miu Miu wanted to be a gentleman and send the girls home one by one. After all, it was really late, and many families turned off the lights and went to bed. But several girls unanimously refused. They are all ninjas now, and they are in their own village. They can get home in a few minutes, so there is no need to trouble Miu Miu again. Of course, if they are alone, Miu Miu asked to send one of them home, they will definitely agree. But now that 4 people are sending it together, 3 of them can only go through the motions, and the last one left is the winner. In this way, even if it is only for the harmony between sisters, Miu Miu cannot agree to it. Miu Miu did not insist on this, and it was just right to leave some time for him to think about what content to make up for the next future video. I have been busy all day and haven't calmed down to think about it. At the same time, after leaving Miu Mu's house, the 4 flowers of Konoha have already started chatting with Karen in the group. Except for Karen, who expressed envy and jealousy, the other girls seemed very excited and happy. After this contact tonight, Ino, Tiantian, and little Sakura, the group level has been upgraded to LV2. And Hinata has also upgraded again, reaching LV3, with a gain effect of 300%. Yamanaka Ino. Wow, I finally got a level increase. I feel full of strength now. Tenten. Is this the effect of the 250-point increase? The change is so obvious. Haruno Sakura. I've made a profit. It seems that I really need to maintain a good relationship with Mumu. No, we need to be good friends who can share life and death. It's better to have him as my boyfriend, hehe. Uzumaki Karen. Jealousy makes me split apart. Why wasn't I born in Konoha? Cry. Hyuga Hinata. Isn't it a bit bad for us to do this? I always feel like I'm taking advantage of Mumu-kun. Mumu, who was peeking at the screen, nodded secretly. Hinata is still the most conscientious. As expected of the one with the highest level at present, she is aware. Yamanaka Ino. What are you talking about, Hinata? We will all be Mumu-kun's wives in the future. As long as we are stronger, the survival rate will be higher when we go on a mission. This is to help Mujun protect his future wife. How can it be used? Ino is definitely arrogant. Mu silently made a note for Ino in his little notebook. Tiantian. I don't have the slightest intention of using the group leader. We have indeed benefited from the group leader, and I am grateful in my heart. So if the group leader wants to make excessive demands on me, I will definitely not refuse. I hope you can be consistent in your words and deeds. Mu once again made a note for Tiantian in his little notebook. Haruno Sakura. They are just talking nonsense. Unlike me, they really regard Mu as a good friend. There is no need to calculate the benefits so clearly between good friends. As long as Mu needs help, I will definitely come at your call. Then you will be my maid for 2 months, and by the way, you will be punished a few times in the system space. Mu knew that little Sakura was also talking nonsense, and continued to make a note in the little notebook. Yamanaka Ino. Okay, no more jokes. At Uzumaki, I just quietly packed some, and no one has touched them yet. Call me now, and I'll bring them to you. Yamanaka Ino. Don't say I don't take care of you, these are all made by Mumu-kun himself, and I took great pains to hide them. If I get caught, I won't be able to see Mumu-kun. Yamanaka Ino. But it's been so long, so the taste won't be that good. If you don't like it, I'll keep it for myself. Uzumaki. I'll call you now. Haruno Sakura. Wow, is Pighead Ino so considerate? I never noticed it before. Hyuga Hinata. Sorry, I didn't expect to do that. Yamanaka Ino. At Haruno Sakura, Wasn't I considerate to you before? It was you who insisted on snatching Sasuke from me, and said that we would no longer be sisters, but competitors. Have you forgotten this? Yamanaka Ino. But forget it, I gave Sasuke to you, now I just want to get Mujun's approval. Haruno Sakura. It's so embarrassing, I seem to have completely forgotten this. Little Sakura covered her face with shame. After competing with Ino for a long time, she seemed to have really forgotten her previous kindness. Ino has always been a gentle and considerate girl. Little Sakura said those hurtful words because of her stubbornness in her heart, and she didn't want Ino to take the initiative to give in because of her consideration. But now thinking back, was the decision at that time really right? For a boy who doesn't like you and doesn't even bother to look at you, is it really worth it to distance yourself from your good sister? If it weren't for the chat group, little Sakura wouldn't be able to sit with Ino now. It was also because of the chat group that little Sakura gradually got rid of her emotions and her love brain and began to analyze things rationally. Little Sakura sighed secretly and had to find an opportunity to make some compensation, otherwise she would not be able to get over it. Of course, Ino didn't need her apology. It was useless to apologize directly. She had to think of a way to move her. Little Sakura pondered this matter secretly and fell silent in the chat group. Ino thought that her words hurt little Sakura, and she also felt guilty, so she could only remain silent. Uzumaki Karen. Woo, I'm so touched. I thought you had forgotten me, but I didn't expect you to leave so much for me. Really, I'm crying. In fact, not only Ino left some hot pot meat dishes for Karen, but Tenten and little Sakura also left fruit snacks. Although Hinata didn't think about it at the time, before Ino was summoned by Karen, she also gave Karen her uneaten snacks that she was going to take home for Hanabi. Karen had never experienced human warmth before, and the little kindness of a few girls really moved her to tears. Now she can not only give everything for Mu, but also for these little sisters in the group. Ino and the others comforted Karen for a while before she calmed down. Soon, they returned to their own homes and began to deal with their own hygiene issues, and the chat group gradually quieted down. Mu was watching the cracked version of the paid content while thinking about the future video 4. In fact, Ino and the others secretly left food to take away, and Mu knew it. At that time, I thought they wanted to linger on the taste of Mu's own hands, but I didn't expect that they left it for Karen. Well, Mu admitted that he underestimated them a little. The chat group has only been around for a few days, and it has indeed changed a lot of things, and the future will definitely become better and better. But when I thought of the future video for Mew Mew hesitated again. Directly edit it later. Then it's time for the Chunin exam. A Chunin exam, if it is based on the capacity of the future video, can be broadcast in 2 episodes at most. The previous written test, the Death Forest and the preliminaries are 1 episode, with a transition period of 1 month in between, and the third game and the Konoha collapse plan are only 1 episode. The first part before Shippuden is about to end. And Mumu can make up a future video every day. If the progress is too fast, wouldn't it be that the future video will have finished playing the 4th Ninja World War when the Chunin exam has just started? What can be played in the future? It must be controlled, and as time goes by in reality, Mumu will definitely have many different ideas. Now completely define the future, and when you think of a good idea in the future, it will be difficult to patch it. Flooding. It's time to start flooding. Mumu quickly made a decision that the progress of the future video can't be too fast, and the length of the video should be reduced. Hehe, let's do something a little more exciting. But we also need to mix in some useful information. Well, let's just excerpt some clips from the Chunin exam. An exam can be divided into several sessions, or even more than 10 sessions. It doesn't matter if the time limit is less than a month, as long as the content is rich enough. I have a good idea that can lay the groundwork for my future harem, so that they can understand, get used to, and then accept it. This time, let's do something more exciting. I guarantee that they will all be unable to hold back after reading it, he. Ding. The group system pushed a future video for Avi, which has been saved to the group file. After midnight, the group system pushed future videos in time. Yamanaka Ino. Sure enough, it's still this time. Tiantian. It seems that there is one every day, which is great. Haruno Sakura. These future videos seem to be related to the sisters in our group. I hope this time is about me. Hyuga Hinata. Uzumaki Shonglin. I didn't miss it this time, hehe. The girls simply bubbled, and quickly clicked on the video, eager to watch it. The future video begins. It starts with a wide range of forests, surrounded by tall trees and dense jungles. There are rivers, high towers, various poisonous insects and beasts in the forest, which looks extremely dangerous. Suddenly, several figures passed through the forest quickly, and their faces could not be seen clearly, leaving only a few shadows. In the woods, the sounds of ninja tools colliding and ninjutsu blasting could be heard from time to time, with occasional screams. Haruno Sakura. Hiss. What is this place? I feel a little nervous for some reason. Hyuga Hinata. It feels like something big is going to happen. Tenten. It seems to be a training ground. But I'm not sure, it's a bit bloody. Yamanaka Ino. Why bother with so much, I want to see Mumu-kun. Uzumaki Karen. I want to see Mumu-kun too. The video continues. After the scene flashes back, a bird's eye view map suddenly appears, and a female voice narrates in the video. The 44th training ground is surrounded by more than 44 locked entrances. There are rivers and forests in the training ground, with a tower in the middle. The entrance is about 10 kilometers away from the tower. You have to challenge the limits of survival in this limited space. There are no restrictions on weapons, ninjutsu, and means. The goal is the scroll battle. You have to collect the 2 scrolls of Book of Heaven and Book of Earth. There are 78 people left, that is, 26 teams. Half of the teams carry the Book of Heaven, and the other half carry the Book of Earth. Each team has a scroll of Heaven or Earth. And to pass the exam, 3 people must hold the 2 scrolls of Book of Heaven and Book of Earth at the same time and reach the central tower. The narration disappears, and the scene returns to the woods again. A large number of blood-sucking leeches fell from the sky and fell on several ninjas passing by. With a few screams, several people triggered the traps on the ground again. The scene flashed, and several people had fallen in a pool of blood. Then, 3 figures walked out from behind the trees nearby. They were Team 8 where Hinata was. The 3 kids easily touched the corpse and got the scroll. The scene flashed again. Hyuga Neji was robbing people with a pretentious look on his face. The opposing team naturally chose to resist, and then they were knocked down by Team 3 one by one, and quickly got the scroll. The scene continued to flash, where Team 7 was, Sasuke used fire style to kill an opponent, Naruto used the brute force flow to kill an opponent, and little Sakura killed an opponent with a heavy punch, and also got the scroll. The scene flashed again. Choji was trembling in the bushes. Shikamaru desperately held Ino's head, with fear on his face. Yamanaka Ino. Scroll battle. What is this? It seems to be an exam, isn't it the Chunin exam? Tenten. It should be, but with this kind of rules, 2/3 of the people will be eliminated in one exam. I didn't expect it to be so cruel, no wonder everyone fought so hard. Haruno Sakura. Such an exam. Fortunately, it has nothing to do with us newcomers. Hyuga Hinata. Even if I just watch, I feel so nervous. Uzumaki Karen. I am a little nervous too, but fortunately I am not there. Yamanaka Ino. No good, we all have group system buffs now, the opponents are just a bunch of noobs, it's a piece of cake. Haruno Sakura. Wow, this is Hinata's teammate. They are also participating, and it's so easy to get the scroll. Hyuga Hinata. Is that really me? Tenten. As expected, we are also participating, so easy. Yamanaka Ino. Little Sakura's Team 7 is also participating. She performed well, but it's a pity that she's a violent girl. Yamanaka Ino. Haruno Sakura. Wow, the newcomers are here. What's wrong with a violent girl? She's much stronger than your Team 10. Yamanaka Ino. No, this is definitely fake, I don't believe it. Haruno Sakura. Be careful not to violate the second group rule, the future clip is absolutely real, no need to question it. I'm kind enough to remind you this time, I'm happy. Tiantian. I didn't expect that all of you who just graduated would take this exam, and in the future trajectory without the group system gain, it was really beyond my expectation. Tiantian. Jingbao, don't worry about it, that's just the original future, now we have the group system gain, it must be different. Tiantian. And isn't Shikamaru in your team very smart? It must be a special situation for him to have such a reaction. The video continues. As Tenten said, the camera moves away from Team 10. Less than 10 meters outside the bush where they are hiding, several rain shinobi ninjas are crushed into minced meat by Gaara with sand. Gaara is expressionless and continues to walk towards the hiding place of Team 10. Not far behind Team 10, Team 8 is also hiding nervously, as if they are hesitating whether to help them. When Gaara is about to reveal Team 10's hiding place, Mumu suddenly appears with Karen, still wearing ordinary clothes and without an Anbu mask. Mumu seems to have also participated in this Chunin exam. As a normal Konoha genin, one of his teammates is Karen, and the other is unknown for the time being. Gaara did not fight with Mumu. He seemed to realize that Mumu was a tough opponent and was ready to leave this battle for later, so he gave up killing and left with Tamari and Kankuro. Yamanaka Ino. I was scared to death. That guy looked like a ruthless killing machine. Even with the buff, I felt it would be hard to survive him. Fortunately, there was Mumu-kun, but isn't Mumu-kun Anbu? Uzumaki Karen. I remember that I had just joined Konoha not long ago, and was still an auditor at the ninja school, right? I actually took the Chunin exam, and was with Mumu-kun. It was awesome. Haruno Sakura. Okay, I take it back. It's no wonder that Team 10 was so scared when they met such a person. Yamanaka Ino. Let me clarify, it was Choji and Shikamaru who were scared. Haruno Sakura. Didn't you just say that you were scared to death? You were scared even through the screen, how could you remain calm when you met him in real life? Yamanaka Ino. Tiantian. This guy should be from Sunagaku. He is indeed a bit too strong and too murderous. He doesn't look like a genin at all. If you meet him in real life, be careful and try to avoid him. Gaara appeared, and the look in his eyes, which seemed to regard everything around him as livestock, scared the girls. Fortunately, although the reason was unknown, Miu Miu also participated in this Chunin exam. With Miu Mu's protection, they should be fine. Even in reality, Miu Miu had no emotional foundation with them at that time, and they could only be considered acquaintances. But in the future, they are all Miu Mu's women, and Miu Miu should take the initiative to protect them, right? The video screen continued. When the 8th and 10th teams met Gaara, something happened in the 7th team. Naruto was swallowed by a big snake, and Sasuke and little Sakura were killed by a very strange person's eyes. The scene was a one-sided beating. Although Naruto had a flash of inspiration, and the violent soldiers solved the big snake and scolded Sasuke awake, his willpower could not change the reality of insufficient strength. Soon, Naruto's nine tails chakra was sealed, strawberries were planted on Sasuke's neck, and the earth coiling shaft that had just been collected was also burned by the other party. Little Sakura dragged her body and barely brought back Sasuke and Naruto. Seeing that they were not sure whether they were alive or dead, she was so panicked that she cried and had no idea what to do next. At this time, Miu Miu, who was protecting Ino, Hinata and the others, happened to pass by here with Karen. After understanding the situation, he left Karen to help and followed the trail alone to track the enemy. He judged that the enemy might not be a regular genin, and might have hidden his identity and sneaked in, so he planned to investigate the intelligence first. Surprisingly, Karen could use medical ninjutsu to heal Naruto and Sasuke's external injuries and comforted little Sakura. Both of them were not in danger of life, which made little Sakura feel relieved. Little Sakura doesn't want to be a burden anymore, so she asks Karen for advice on medical skills. Karen doesn't keep any of it to herself, and she didn't expect that little Sakura is quite talented in this area. Haruno Sakura. So scary, is this really the exam for Genin to become Chunin? Let's not talk about the guy playing with sand just now, what's going on with this? I feel it's scarier than Zabuza. Yamanaka Ino. Little Sakura, just be thankful that you're fine even when you encounter this kind of enemy, with Sasuke protecting you in front and Mumu-kun comforting you in the back, you're luckier than me. Haruno Sakura. When I think about it, it's true. And I'm learning medical ninjutsu from Karen, am I good at medical ninjutsu? Then I should find a way to learn it in advance so that it can be put to use when the time comes. Uzumaki Karen. I don't know anything about medical ninjutsu, so you should have learned it in Konoha, right? But all in all, I have only been in Konoha for more than half a month, and I am still an auditor at the ninja school. How did I learn the medical technique? It looks like a grandmaster. Yamanaka Ino. Maybe because your physique is special and you have healing ability, so learning the medical technique is twice as effective with half the effort. Maybe you came into contact with the medical technique by accident, and then learned it in a short time. Isn't it the same for Mu Mujun? Tiantian. There are too many details that are not described clearly here. We can only wait and see whether they will be mentioned in future videos. Tiantian. However, based on the clues in front of us, this Chunin exam is unusual. Not only are there many masters, but there will be other changes. Everyone should be really careful. Hyuga Hinata. I don't know if I can also learn the medical technique. Hinata's personality is destined to not like fighting. She would rather be a medical ninja with little combat power and hide in the back to assist teammates. The video continues. Mumu followed the trail of Orochimaru and soon chased him to a giant tree. He happened to see Anko stopping Orochimaru and wanted to die with Orochimaru, but was easily avoided. Mumu took advantage of the situation and suddenly launched a sneak attack, even using the power of wood style, causing Orochimaru to suffer a great loss. Orochimaru was lucky enough to escape with the Great Snake style body replacement technique, but his chakra consumption was huge and his body became weak. He dared not continue to play around. He recognized that Mumu used wood style, which was very interesting. He wanted to leave something before leaving, but he only took out a handful of poison, threw it at Anko with a weird smile and left. Mumu thought that he had an extraordinary physique and should not be afraid of poison, so he dodged to help Anko block it. But the poison spread directly when it came into contact with the air, and both of them were infected at the same time. Anko felt it and his face changed drastically. He wanted to stay away from Mumu, but finally gritted his teeth and took him to a nearby cave. Haruno Sakura. This guy is called Orochimaru. Just like his name, he is a snake charmer. It feels so disgusting. Tiantian. This name, Yamanaka Ino. Little Tiantian, do you know him? Tiantian. Do you know who is the strongest female ninja in the ninja world? Her name is Tsunade, the granddaughter of the first Hokage. She is very powerful and the most powerful medical ninja. My dream is to become a ninja like Tsunade in the future. Haruno Sakura. What does this have to do with that Orochimaru? Tenten. Tsunade-sama was active in the Second Ninja World War, and made a great name for himself, known as one of the Sannin. Haruno Sakura. Could it be Tenten? That's right, The Sannin is composed of 3 ninja teams of equal strength. Tsunade-sama is one of them, and this Orochimaru is also one of them. Haruno Sakura, a ninja who became famous during the Second Ninja World War, which is decades ago. Why would such a veteran strongman hide his identity and sneak into the Chunin exam to bully us genin? Yamanaka Ino. And if he is in the same team with the first Hokage's granddaughter, then shouldn't he be one of us? Why would he be so cruel to the Konoha shinobi? Tenten. I once looked up Tsunade-sama's information because I admire her. Of course, I also investigated the Sannin who are as famous as her. Tenten. It is said that this Orochimaru once competed for the 4th Hokage, but failed. Some people say that he was resentful, and some people say that he violated some taboo. The details are not clear, but he finally defected. Haruno Sakura. Traitor ninja. Tenten. And he is an S-rank traitor ninja. So when you meet him, you must be careful. Haruno Sakura. Now that you say that, I don't even dare to take the Chunin exam. Yamanaka Ino. Wait, that guy poisoned Mumu-kun. What are they doing? Haruno Sakura. It seems like. Who is that woman? She actually took advantage of Mumu's poisoning. Tenten. No, she was also poisoned. She should be trying to find a way to detoxify. However, Tiantian was obviously deceiving himself. The video screen continued. Mumu was poisoned more deeply than Anko, and his consciousness seemed to be a little blurred. Anko wanted to keep a distance from him at first, but for some reason, he took him to a nearby cave. Soon, a blushing and heart-pounding sound came from the cave. Although the light was insufficient, the shaking of the figure could roughly see what was going on. At the same time, several Anbu were searching separately because they were worried about Anko's safety. A female ninja wearing a dog face mask and with flowing purple hair happened to find the traces left by Anko before and found her way to the cave. Yamanaka Ino. Is this detoxification? Is there such a way to detoxify? Tiantian. Damn it, the group leader is still so young, how dare she? Uzumaki Karen. Woohoo, I thought I was Mumu-kun's first woman. Haruno Sakura. This is actually detoxification, but it's just that kind of poison. I never thought that Orochimaru, one of the Sannin, would do such a thing. Isn't this a bargain for Mumu? Yamanaka Ino. You fool broad forehead, are you gloating? Don't forget where this is, you are also one of Mumu-kun's harem. Haruno Sakura. Tisk, it's useless for you to be so excited, and you can't interfere with what is happening. Tiantian. Who said no? That's just a future video, it hasn't happened yet. Yamanaka Ino. Yell, we must stop it when the time comes. We will do our best to stop it. Mumu-kun's first woman must be me. Haruno Sakura. Don't forget the group rules. Rule 1, the interests of the group owner are above all else. Rule 2, the video clips are all set in the future. Rule 3, oh well, that woman is not a member of the group, it has nothing to do with Rule 3. Yamanaka Ino. Anyway, as long as I help Mumu-kun detoxify, I can do it too. As long as I replace that woman, it won't be considered a violation of the group rules. Tiantian. Jingbao, you are still young, you can't control it, let me do it. Yamanaka Ino. I'm older than you. Tiantian. But as little Sakura said, no matter how excited they are, it's useless and they can't change the content of the video at all. The video screen continues. Anko's poison is not as deep as Muemu's, and she is still semi-conscious. At the beginning, she can still take the initiative to help Mumu detoxify, but it didn't take long before she lost herself under the strong impact. But soon, she gradually woke up again. Her poison slowly eased, and after the enjoyment, it gradually became painful, and she couldn't hold on any longer. Anko wanted to escape, but her whole body was sore and weak, and she was completely controlled by Mumu. Fortunately, at this time, a female Anbu found this place following the traces they left just now. Anko coaxed her in with words, letting her temporarily replace her, and Anko could take the opportunity to take a breath. The female Anbu who came had flowing purple hair, and naturally it was only Azuki Yugao. At first, she thought Anko was injured and asked her to come in to help, but she didn't expect that she was controlled as soon as she entered the cave and had no time to check the situation. When she learned what she was going to do, Yugao resisted immediately, but she had a partner. Anko tried to persuade her earnestly. She didn't want to do this, but there was really no way. The poison in Muemu's body must be removed because he controlled wood style. It was for this reason that Anko sacrificed herself, but she didn't expect that she couldn't solve it completely by herself. Yu Yan also knew the importance of the wood style master to the village, and to some extent even surpassed the Jinchuriki. As an Anbu directly under the Hokage, she had to sacrifice herself to save Miu in this situation. While she was hesitating, the trace amount of toxins left in the air in the cave began to take effect in her body, and Miu was also touching her, so Yu Yan finally failed to maintain herself. Unfortunately, even Yu Yan could not completely help Miu remove the toxins, and Anko had to take over. Things have already happened. If they cannot complete the task, their sacrifice will be in vain. In order to remove the toxins from Miu's body, the two of them took turns to each other 3 times, and finally Miu calmed down. And the two of them also completely collapsed. Yamanaka Ino. Ah, there is actually a second one. Tiantian, crying, it's so painful to watch this, my heart hurts. Haruno Sakura. To be honest, this poison is too strong. At Yamanaka Ino at Tiantian, are you sure you can solve this problem if it's your turn? Yamanaka Ino. Tiantian, they are just talking nonsense, how can they really help Miu detoxify in this way? At least not at this stage. Not only because of age issues, but also because their relationship with Miu has not reached that stage. Uzumaki. It doesn't matter, let me do it when the time comes, I have a better physique. And as long as I can save Miu, I don't care even if I'm broken. Yamanaka Ino. Can't it be solved through medical ninjutsu? Tiantian. This method is generally the only way to detoxify this poison, there is no antidote. If you don't want it to happen, I'm afraid you can only stop it in advance, but I'm not sure if this is considered a violation of Group Rule 1. Tiantian. At group system, can you answer this question? Unfortunately, the group system was silent and did not respond. It seems that the system prompt will only be triggered at certain times, and it does not exist at other times. Haruno Sakura. You should accept the reality. It is definitely against Rule 1 to prevent it from happening. This violates the interests of the group owner and makes him lose 2 women. Yamanaka Ino. Tiantian. Haruno Sakura. By the way, is there one less person in the group? At Hyuga Hinata, are you still there? Haruno Sakura. It seems that she fainted, worthy of being Hinata. The video screen continues. It is unknown how long it took. Miu woke up first, and he had memories of what happened before. Miu used the life energy brought by his wood style to help Anko and Shiyan warm their body cells and help them recover. The 2 girls woke up soon, but they were still very tired, but they had regained their ability to move. Mumu took the initiative to express his attitude. No one wanted this to happen, but since it has already happened, he will do his best to compensate the 2 girls. The 2 girls can directly raise any requests to him. Shiyan had a blank expression on her face and left without saying anything. This was just an accident. Saving Mumu was her duty as an Anbu. She would not hate Mumu for this, nor would she ask Mumu to do anything for this. However, this incident still had a great psychological impact on her. Shiyan decided to break up with Jaifeng when she returned. She was no longer pure. Anko, on the other hand, was carefree and did not take this matter too seriously. She asked Mumu to treat her to more meatballs when she returned, and there was no need to have too much psychological burden. All this was voluntary. Anko left soon. She had to report the matter of Orochimaru to the 3rd generation. As for what happened with Mumu, there was no need to say more. But she had to investigate Mumu's matter. This was her first man. After the 2 girls left, Miu cleaned up the traces in the cave. He looked very guilty and determined to find a way to compensate them after the Chunin exam. When the video was playing the detoxification content, the girls kept refreshing their moods. In fact, it was not entirely because they felt uncomfortable seeing Miu with other women. The main reason was that the video content was too explosive, and it was too shocking for girls of their age. Didn't you see that Hinata had gone silent? They needed to divert their attention and let others know that they were not watching the video seriously, which was a bit like covering their ears and stealing the bell. But at this time, after the detoxification content was played, the group chat fell silent. As for what their moods were, only they knew it. The video screen continued. The screen turned and the subsequent content of the Chunin exam was no longer played. Outside Mu Emu's house, Anko dragged Shi Yan, who was wearing ordinary clothes and not wearing an Anbu mask, over. Anko actually had the key to Mu Emu's house, and opened the door himself and pulled Shi Yan inside. In the house, Mu personally cooked a table full of delicious food, waiting for them. Xian was speechless. Anko had been so enthusiastic about bringing her here, but Mumu would not let her eat until she completed this task. Mumu sincerely apologized to Xian for the detoxification of the Death Forest and said that he could compensate her in any way. Xian has become very haggard recently because of this incident, but she still did not accept it. She just said that she had never blamed Mumu and did not need any compensation. But she was willing to stay for dinner, firstly to make Mumu stop worrying about this matter, and secondly because Anko would not let her leave. After talking it out, Anko started to eat without caring. The food made by Mumu was too much for her appetite, and there were also her favorite beef balls and crystal dragons. Xian also learned that after the Chunin exam preliminaries, Anko had already contacted Mumu several times, and was easily won over by the food made by Mumu. For this reason, Anko even ate the young grass and became Mumu's girlfriend. If it weren't for Xian who hadn't been dealt with yet, Anko would have planned to let Mumu move in with her. Xian was speechless. It's okay that Anko was bribed by the food, but he actually wanted to drag her along. But after listening to Anko's explanation, she quickly understood, but didn't accept it. It turned out that since the detoxification, Mumu's body seemed to have problems, and from time to time he would have the same situation as when he was poisoned. Although the degree was relatively mild, it was unbearable. Anko became his girlfriend to help Mumu relieve the situation. But she couldn't satisfy it alone, so she thought about reproducing the situation at that time and asking Xian to help. But this time Mumu was just unbearable, not life-threatening, so Xian refused. She was not as careless as Anko and didn't take it seriously. Even if it happened once, it didn't mean that it could be done unscrupulously for the second, third, or even countless times. Because that first time, Xian was already uncomfortable enough, how could she possibly agree to a follow-up? But what Xian didn't expect was that Anko secretly kept the poison and cultivated it. That was used by Orochimaru for experiments to breed snakes, and the effect was very powerful. Anko diluted the poison and secretly put some in Xian's food. When Xian found it, she couldn't control it. So naturally, the incident in the cave of the Death Forest was repeated again. This time it was Mu Emu's turn to detoxify Xian, but it was obvious that the life energy in Mu Emu's body was too huge, resulting in a physique that was not like a human. If Mu was barely restrained, the two of them together could only be said to be very reluctant. So in total, Anko's plan only completed part of the progress bar. After the incident, the three of them were a little silent. Anko also knew that her actions were not very kind, and kept apologizing and acting like a spoiled child to Xian. But Xian was indeed a little sad. She was actually betrayed by her own friend. But Xian is not the kind of person who cries and loses her temper. After Anko's outburst, she really couldn't bear to break up with her. In the end, Mu persuaded her with emotion and reason, and Xian let it go. In fact, Xian once asked the third generation about Mu. The third generation told her that Mu was the hope of the entire Konoha future, and he would protect Mu at all costs until Mu could bear the burden. Because of the third generation's words, and the second time it happened, Xian finally hesitated, not knowing whether she should continue to help Mu relieve the pain. Anko suggested at the right time that Xian should move in with him, but he would never plot against her again. Every time Mu needed to relieve the pain, Anko would take the initiative to go first, and when he couldn't hold on any longer, Xian would come to help. The scene changed, and the three of them were already living together, and they also pooled money to buy a big house. Their daily life was quite harmonious, playing and kissing together. Xian's face was smiling more and more, and her personality gradually became more lively. The screen gradually went black, and the video ended here. Yamanaka Ino. That's it. Why do I feel like it's a happy ending? Tiantian. After watching this video, I felt so empty and lost, but I don't know why. I actually accepted that the group leader was with them. I can't figure it out. Haruno Sakura. At Yamanaka Ino at Tiantian. Don't be silly, you were just lustful for a while, you don't really love Miu Miu, at least not now. Haruno Sakura. After watching this video as a pure passerby, I was also very moved. But I only have one thing to say, Miu Miu deserves all this. Of course, I will never get involved in it in the future. Yamanaka Ino. So you say, Miu Miu-kun will have so many wives in the future, will it be related to this poisoning? Tiantian. It feels very likely. It was just a sequelae, but it slowly became a habit. His physique is far superior to that of ordinary people because of the awakening of wood style. 1 or 2 people cannot resist it. Thinking about it this way, it becomes reasonable. Uzumaki Karen. Mumu-kun is so pitiful. He still has such a serious sequelae after being poisoned. I must concentrate on practicing medical skills in the future. Uzumaki Karen. Tiantian, you said before that Tsunade-sama is the strongest medical ninja in the ninja world. Can you tell me about her situation? I want to find Tsunade-sama to become his apprentice and learn the strongest medical ninjutsu. Tiantian. The records about Tsunade-sama in the village are more about her performance in the Second Ninja World War, and her use of medical ninjutsu to save many wounded and sick patients. Tiantian. But there are almost no records about her in recent years. I only know that she is traveling in the ninja world now, not in Konoha, and I don't know the rest. In this future video, the real plot only occupies half of the content of the Death Forest, and the rest is all water filling. The plot of the Death Forest lasts for 5 days, and half of the content is about 2 days to 3 days. The loss ratio is not large, Miu Miu is quite satisfied. It was originally a small test, and now that he has probably figured out the routine, Miu Miu can also shorten the time ratio. After all, he can post a future video a day, but the video content can last for a month. If he doesn't control it, he will soon have nothing to post. Of course, this is only for the original plot trajectory. If it is just made up, there is a lot of content, but it is hard to say whether it is attractive. When Miu Miu was thinking about the details of this future video and how much impact it would have on himself when it really happened, the group chat gradually became quiet. It was late at night, and the girls couldn't hold on and began to fall asleep. Miu Miu thought about it for a while and prepared to go to bed. He could start the wood style enhancement road tomorrow, and he was looking forward to it. Ding! The number of new members in the harem group is +1. People are being randomly selected to join the group. Please wait for a moment, host. Suddenly, a system prompt sounded, which made Miu Miu stunned for a moment. No, why is it so unexpected again? Is it really up to the system's mood to add people? Miu Miu secretly complained in his heart, and wanted to ask the system for clarification, but at this time the system was busy selecting new people and had no time to deal with him. Forget it, if there is really a pattern, I will be able to see it sooner or later. If there is no pattern, it is useless to ask. Ding! The new member of the harem group has been selected, Mitarashi Anko, please host to write a character for her. Soon, the system prompt sound came again, and Miu Miu was stunned again. Anko, here she comes. Could it be related to the future video he just posted? Miu Miu thought it was very likely, but the last time he tried to join Yuhi Kurenai, the system did not respond. And this time there are 2 female protagonists in the future video, but only one was added. This system is really casual. But Miu Miu was too lazy to think about it for the time being. If Anko joined the group, it would be just what he wanted. Since she was the first woman in the future he had made up, then she would also be his first woman in reality. Wouldn't this be a continuation of the past and a harbinger of the future? It made sense. Thinking of this, Miu Miu was excited and immediately began to think about Anko's appearance CG. The CGs of several girls in the group were the first in their lives, but Anko's had already been presented in the future video just now. Now we can't do it again, it's meaningless. Then, let's set a highlight moment that belongs to her personally. This is really not in the original book, so I can only make it up myself. After a while, Miu Miu finally finished editing, submitted, and pushed. Ding! The character setting has been determined, and new members are being pulled in. Ding! New members have been pulled successfully. Welcome Mitarashi Anko to join Miu Miu Harem Group. At the same time, Konoha Shika and Karen both received system prompts. But because of the screen explosion caused by Karen last time, the girls are now used to turning on the do not disturb function when they go to bed. So at this moment, they are still in their dreams and no one is woken up. On the other side, Anko, who was pulled into Mu's harem, was also sleeping soundly. She didn't realize that from this moment on, her life has taken a different path. Mu took a look at it through remote monitoring and was somewhat speechless. This is the first one who did not cause any commotion after joining the group. Of course, Mu was also in the group. So when the system prompted, he could already see Anko's appearance CG. In the video, in a forest, Anko and Orochimaru met again, which was very similar to the scene in the Death Forest before. "Oh, is it you this time?" Orochimaru still looked injured and escaping. Although he was a little surprised by Anko's interception, he didn't care much. Anko clasped his hands together, and several red-eye shadows quickly appeared on his face. "This time, I'm not using the forbidden technique you taught me." In Orochimaru's surprised eyes, Anko's momentum exploded, which made Orochimaru feel pressured. Orochimaru was stunned for a while, then stretched out his long tongue to lick around, grinning. "Interesting, you actually learned the fairy technique. But think about it, it's not surprising that you can learn the fairy technique with a physique that can withstand the Heaven's Curse Seal. After all, the Curse Seal I gave you is itself an alternative fairy technique. I'm just curious about one thing, your fairy technique is different from the aura of the 3 holy places, could it be that you have found the 4th holy place in the ninja world?" Anko said coldly. "This matter has nothing to do with you, you just need to know that I will completely solve you here today." Hee. Orochimaru chuckled. Students are better than their teachers, and teachers should feel gratified. But with you, it's still too early. Then give it a try. Anko didn't want to say more to him, and his hands jumped towards Orochimaru like a long snake. It looks a bit like a hidden shadow snake hand, but there is no snake flying out, but Anko's own arms are stretched. If I have to describe it, it's just like Luffy, if they knew who Luffy was. Hidden snake hand. Orochimaru said nothing and threw out several long snakes. However, as soon as the snakes touched Anko's hand, they were immediately crushed to pieces, and blood was spilled all over the sky. Orochimaru was not in a hurry, and secretly analyzed the situation. He felt that after Anko turned on Sage Mode, a special aura appeared on the surface of his body, and it was this aura that strangled his snakes. It felt a bit like Wind-style nature transformation, and the power was at least S-level ninjutsu. Interesting. Orochimaru chuckled and jumped high to the back, avoiding Anko's fist attack. "Although I'm not very good at fire style, it's enough to use it for a test." Orochimaru was in midair, quickly formed a few seals, and a large ball of flames spurted out of his mouth. Fire style Great Fireball Technique. AC level ninjutsu, performed by Orochimaru, who is not good at fire style, is as powerful as an A-level ninjutsu. This ninjutsu is fast and urgent, and it is stuck on the way Anko is chasing. Anko can either give up the pursuit and dodge, or can only use the special aura on her body to bear it. However, with Orochimaru's understanding of Anko's character, he believes that she will not let him down. Sure enough, let alone Anko's confidence in herself, even if she doesn't, she can't avoid it at this time. So she rushed towards the great fireball without hesitation. As we all know, fire style restrains wind style. Fire can burn wind, and wind will only fuel the fire. Of course, this is only relative. And the special aura on Anko's body is not wind style. So Orochimaru's great fireball technique was smashed to pieces by Anko, leaving no trace on her body, and her aura did not decrease but increased. Go to hell. Orochimaru was surprised that Anko's aura was rising instead of falling. Anko suddenly accelerated and came to him, punching him in the face with force. With a bang, Orochimaru was punched hundreds of meters away, breaking countless trees. Orochimaru, vomiting blood, was still analyzing in his heart that the power of this punch was at least as heavy as 2 Tsunade. If it weren't for his special physique, he would have ascended to heaven on the spot. Even so, Orochimaru was definitely not feeling well at this time. He shed a layer of skin directly and quickly escaped from the ground. Damn it, he actually ran away. Anko sensed for a long time but couldn't find Orochimaru, so he could only angrily exit Sage Mode. Mu fell from the sky and landed beside Anko. He hugged her waist and chuckled. I told you long ago that when it comes to saving lives, Orochimaru is the best in the ninja world. If he could be defeated by strength, he would not be alive until now. But at least I beat him and made him flee. He didn't even dare to show up and say a harsh word. Enko hugged Miu Miu and kissed him hard on the face, grinning. I know his character. If he is sure of winning, he will definitely look careless and say sarcastic words. He ran away without saying a word like now. It must be because I can threaten his life. If he stays, he will really die. Good Miu Miu, good husband, I really love you. The ability you taught me is amazing. Miu Miu smiled and said, then you just thank me verbally. What about this? Enko's hand began to slide down, entering a more than simple verbal thank you. The latter part is not long, but it is more high definition than any previous part. Not only can we clearly see that the two had a verbal dispute, but the details are also portrayed vividly and meticulously. Unfortunately, the chat group was silent, and no one accompanied Miuyi to watch this CG. Forget it, let's go to bed first, and see their reactions tomorrow. Miu Emu's mouth corners were slightly raised, and his face was also expectant. Hey, it's time to get up, it's dawn. The next day, Miu Miu was woken up with a confused face. When someone quietly touched the bedside, the first reaction was naturally to be alert and vigilant. But when he saw who was coming, he was completely confused. Mitarashi Enko. I just made up a future about her last night, and she also joined the group. But who can tell me why she appeared in my house? Miu Miu subconsciously looked outside the door. Well, good, the door lock was pried. So this is burglary. At this moment, Miu Emu's eyes became dangerous when he looked at Enko. Enko seemed to have no sense of self-awareness at all. She stood in front of the bed and said bluntly, your name is Miu Miu, right? I heard that you are very good at making meatballs, so I came to buy some from you for breakfast. You shouldn't mind, right? Meatballs. Miu Miu thought about it for a while and then reacted. Enko must have read the content in the group after waking up, and then made a different choice from the other girls, and directly found an excuse to break into Miu Emu's house. Maybe it's not an excuse. After all, in the future video 4, the meatballs made by Miu Miu were really loved by Enko. After watching the content in the video, it is understandable that she can't wait to taste it in real life. After all, the difference between foodies and food cannot be measured by common sense. Don't ask me where I got the news. Enko seemed to know that her behavior was suspicious. She put her hands on her waist and said in an unreasonable manner, ninjas have many strange abilities, and intelligence gathering is also what I am good at. I'm asking you one question now, are you willing to help me make meatballs? I'll give you money. Enko bared her teeth, as if she would beat anyone up if Miu Miu dared to refuse. But Enko was originally big and round, and at this time, she stood in front of Miu Miu with her hands on her waist. The shaking sensation made Miu Miu almost want to take action. Sister. Miu Miu looked away a little, spread his hands, and said, are you going to let me help you make meatballs here? I'll give you 2 minutes to wash and change clothes. Enko patted Miu Emu's shoulder, gave him a look that said, you're smart, and turned to walk towards the hall. Miu Miu was speechless. What's going on so early in the morning? I knew Enko was a tiger, but I didn't expect her to be so tigerish. If I had known earlier, I would have changed my target. Miu Miu took the time to check the chat group. Among the 5 girls, only Hinata had woken up. Then she sent a string of ellipses and nothing happened. Through remote monitoring, Miu Miu found that Hinata's face was swollen and red, and her eyes were curled up and she was lying on the bed. Very good. Hinata fainted all night after watching the second half of the future video last night. Just woke up and saw Enko's appearance CG, and fainted again at this time. The remaining girls were still sleeping. They went to bed late last night, and it was still early now. It was not even 6 o'clock, and the sky was not completely bright yet. Hey, what are you still dawdling about? I'm still waiting for your meatballs. Enko seemed to see that Miu Miu didn't move, and she started to urge him loudly outside. Miu Miu didn't know what Enko was thinking at this moment. It was definitely true that she wanted to eat meatballs, but what else? To test me? No. Miu Miu didn't even change his pajamas, put his hands behind his head, and walked out of the room yawning. Are you bargaining with me? Enko appeared behind Miu Miu in a flash, leaned close to his ear and sneered. I don't know you. Mew's expression did not change, and he didn't care about Anko at all, and went straight outside to pour a glass of water. Before he could drink it, the glass of water was snatched away by Anko. Anko finished drinking it in one gulp and grinned. My name is Mitarashi Anko, I am a special jonin in Konoha, you can call me Sister Anko, now we know each other. Do I have to help you make meatballs just because we know each other? You are such a weird person. Mew said with dissatisfaction on his face. You pried open my door early in the morning, disturbed my sleep, and asked me to help you. Who do you think you are? I am your wife, Anko silently said in her heart. However, this cannot be said directly. If you say it, people will definitely not believe it, and you may even be scolded. Anko originally saw that Mew had a good personality in the future video, and thought that a simple communication would bring them closer. Now it seems that Mew is very grumpy when he wakes up, and he may mess it up. So, Anko immediately changed her strategy and said in a coquettish voice, then how are you going to help me? I really want to eat the meatballs you made by yourself. Stop. Mew got goosebumps instantly. I was a little sleepy at first, but now I am awake all of a sudden. Anyway, I won't do anything you say, and I'm going to complain to the third generation. Mew didn't fully understand Anko's purpose, and he refused to give in. As a result, Anko lost his patience, grabbed down hard, pursed his lips, and said with a dangerous look, make a meatball that satisfies me, or I'll take your meatball. Mew took a breath, and his chakra almost burst out. But he soon calmed down again. Group members can't take the initiative to hurt the group owner, so why should they be afraid of her? No, Mew said fearlessly and provocatively. If you want me to make meatballs, you can eat my meatballs first. Chapter 51. In the past, Anko might not understand what Mew meant. She is an extrovert and unrestrained person, but she doesn't pay much attention to anything except food. Even though she has entered the period of being an older single woman, she is still a novice in some aspects and her reaction is slow. But who told her to just finish watching the video? Whether it is the future video or her appearance CG, all of them have been popularized. So when she heard Mew's words, she immediately had an image in her mind. She couldn't help but secretly spit. It seems that there is a reason why Orochimaru would give him that kind of poison. However, Anko did not object to this. After watching the video and the chat records in the group, she basically believed the authenticity of the video content. Since it will happen sooner or later, it is not a loss to experience it in advance in exchange for the meatballs she likes. As long as I eat your meatballs, you will make meatballs for me, right? This is simple. After Anko finished speaking, she acted without hesitation. Now it was Mew's turn to be confused. No, is it really that direct? Well, this woman, most of the time, probably didn't realize that she was a woman. And she followed Orochimaru when she was a child, and witnessed many things that violated common sense. It's not surprising that she can do such a thing. Mew originally just wanted to squeeze Anko to test her real intention. Now that things have come to this, he might as well lie down first. After awakening the wood style yesterday, Mew's physique has been different. And under his intentional promotion, the direction of physical growth is also biased. Coupled with the guidance of future videos, Mew's physical condition at this time is stronger than many people who are good at this. Although Anko tried it for the first time, she may not have any concerns in her heart, and her growth rate is very fast. After a few simple operations, she quickly entered the proficiency period, and the whole process did not even make Mew feel any discomfort. For a long time, Mew's body stiffened for a moment, and the whole person collapsed. Anko swallowed a few times, smacked her lips and said, the taste is okay. But I still want to eat meatballs more. This scene made Mew almost stand up again. I have already fulfilled your request. Is it your turn to fulfill your promise next? Anko cleaned up briefly and looked at Mew with expectant eyes. Mew was speechless again. This woman, is she crazy about eating meatballs? Wait, Mew didn't break his promise after all. She had shown her utmost sincerity. Mew wouldn't go back on his word for just a few meatballs. And in order to save time in the morning, he would prepare some in advance at night and put them in the refrigerator. It didn't take long for Mew to prepare breakfast for 3 people. He thought it was already a lot, but he only ate half of it himself, and the rest went into Anko's stomach. Looking at her unsatisfied look, I'm afraid she could eat twice as much. It tastes great, much better than the 3-color meatballs. This is definitely the most delicious meatball in the ninja world. And I like this crystal dumpling too. Anko didn't have any tricks at all. She said whatever she wanted. She looked like a little girl who didn't know the world. She also skewered a few meatballs with bamboo sticks to take away and save for later. Seeing her like this, Mu's initial resentment towards her for her abrupt behavior early in the morning had dissipated. He even thought that this woman was actually quite cute. Now that you've had enough, it's time to go on the mission. Anko patted her belly and stood up, saying to Mu, your house is too small and too bad, and the location is not very good. Do you want to move in and live with me? As long as you make meatballs and dumplings for me every day, I won't charge you rent. Are you not worried about gossip when a single man and a single woman live together once? Mu couldn't keep up with Anko's train of thought, but he liked such a direct and beautiful sister. Anko waved her hand and said, I'm not that hypocritical, and as long as you have the ability, do whatever you want to me. For her, it seems that as long as there are meatballs to eat, everything else is unimportant. No wonder she became a fat ant when she was in the Bu Ran period. Okay, I'll move in when I come back in the evening. When you come to help, I'll make some more for you that you haven't eaten before. Mu agreed at once. There is such a good thing, and you don't have to pay any price for it, why refuse it? As for living with Anko, will it affect his subsequent harem? Will it? Anyway, Mu is not worried at all. As a time traveler, he also has a harem group. When he is with women, he should be dominant. He wants those women to pursue him instead of him trying to get others' favor. Therefore, just do what you want without considering other things. Now he wants to do it, so he does it. Frank, Anko seemed to appreciate Mu's style of doing things, and nodded, I will come to help you move after I finish my task today. As long as you satisfy my appetite, I can satisfy you at any time. After that, she left in style. At the same time, the girls in the harem group also got up one after another. They have long been accustomed to saying hello in the group as soon as they wake up, and then they saw that there was another sister in the group, or the woman who got the first kill in the future video yesterday. They are still unclear about Anko's identity, but they only know that she is Orochimaru's former disciple. After Orochimaru defected from Konoha, her situation should not be very good, so she had such strong hatred when she saw Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. They sympathized with Anko's experience, but they had to stop her from getting the first kill of Mumu. Yamanaka Ino. Admitarashi Anko, come out and speak. Newcomers, please introduce yourself first, and then come and greet the sisters in the group. Even if you are a special Jonin, you are still a junior in this group, you must understand the rules. Tiantian. Admitarashi Anko, I am the eldest sister in the group, Ino is the second sister, Hinata is the third sister, and Karen is the fourth sister. You are the youngest. Uzumaki Karen. Ha, Haruno Sakura. What about me? Where did you put me? Tiantian. Didn't you say that you wouldn't get involved? Then you must exclude it. Haruno Sakura. What does that have to do with this? No matter what the ranking is, I will be ranked before Ino. Quite energetic, Anko saw the message in the group and couldn't help but smile, but she didn't mean to reply at all. Please, she is a special Jonin, how could she hang out with a bunch of brats? They usually come into contact with different things, how can they have any common topics? And their thoughts are obvious, Anko saw through it at a glance. Want to stop me from coming into contact with Mu? Unfortunately, she not only came into contact, but also ate 2 meatballs first. The meatballs and dumplings made by Mu are really delicious. I can't live without them anymore. Anko bit off the last dumpling in her hand, still feeling a little unsatisfied. But then again, I feel that after eating Mu's meatball, my body has become lighter for some reason. Anko moved her hands and feet, a little surprised. This time she was not referring to the meatball made by Mu, but the meatball she ate before letting Mu make meatballs. After a long time of tossing and turning in the group chat, Anko never showed up, and the girls gradually fell silent. Hinata also woke up in the middle, but she didn't dare to watch those videos again. Fortunately, they were all little girls, so they watched them and didn't dare to mention them in the group. And next, the team that Ino and Hinata were in would start their first mission in their lives. Little Sakura still had a bell-grabbing test, but she had seen the future video and knew Kakashi's bad taste, so she naturally wouldn't be stupid enough to go and wait early in the morning. She ate and drank enough at home first, and brought 2 breakfasts to Naruto and Sasuke. Unfortunately, Sasuke didn't appreciate it at all, and warned them to stay away from him if they violated the rules, so as not to implicate him. In the end, both breakfasts were eaten by Naruto alone. Naruto didn't care about any rules. This was brought by little Sakura, and he had to finish it even if he was punished by Kakashi. Seeing this, little Sakura unconsciously lost a few points in favor of Sasuke. Although she didn't like Naruto, she didn't show her disdain on her face like before. Little Sakura was a witness to the future. She felt that she was the most mature one in the 3-person team. When she looked at Naruto and Sasuke, she felt a little like an adult looking at a child. Miu Miu took a quick look at the women's situation through remote monitoring and quickly retracted his gaze. He was going to start practicing wood style today, and he was still looking forward to it. After changing into Anbu equipment, Miu Miu quickly came to the team base, and Tianzang was already waiting there. Not bad, not late. Tianzang nodded and said, as a ninja, it is very important to abide by the rules. Many times, no matter how unreasonable the superior's order is, as a subordinate, you must execute it unconditionally at the first time without any doubt. If you want to be the one who makes the rules, unless your strength can surpass anyone, so strong that everyone has to listen to you. Tianzang's words are very realistic, but they are also true. No matter which world or industry, the law of the jungle is the law of the jungle where the strong prey on the weak. Understood, Miu Miu responded. Tianzang didn't say much, and quickly took Miu Miu to a hidden training ground, and said, from today on, I will give you special training until your strength reaches the level 1 recognize. Train at least 10 hours a day. If you want to train more, you can, but your physical condition must allow it. If you force it, it will be counterproductive. But I see that your life energy is surging, and your physical strength should recover quickly, so you don't have to worry too much about this aspect. Miu Miu nodded to show that he understood, and then said, then where do we start practicing? Teacher Tianzang. Tianzang was obviously stunned for a moment, pretending to be calm but couldn't hide his excitement and said, what did you call me? Teacher Tianzang. Miu Miu smiled secretly, pretending to be strange and said, if you want to teach me to practice, then I must call you teacher, right? Miu Miu knew that Tianzang was actually a very empty person. He needs the recognition of others, needs others to realize his existence, and even wants others to rely on him. It has been mentioned more than once in the original book that after he led Team 7 for several missions, he had the idea of replacing Kakashi in his heart. It was not because he liked Team 7 so much, but mainly because he found his position in Team 7. Tenzo was an experimental subject and was very sensitive. But he had been staying in a place like Anbu, where he had almost no interpersonal relationships. The more he lacked something, the more he wanted it. What's more, the ninja world was originally a sick world. A small setback could rise to the point of destroying the world. This was already the norm for Tenzo. Miu Miu just called him teacher, and directly hit the spot for him. Ahem. Tenzo coughed twice, barely suppressing the excitement in his heart, and then took off the mask on his face under Miu Miu's gaze. In that case, I can't hide it anymore. Tenzo revealed his true face and said to Mumu, I used to be an experimental subject, and was injected with Shodai cells. Fortunately, I survived and mastered the wood style ability. I don't remember my experience before becoming an experimental subject. Later, I joined the root organization and used the code name, Ja. After that, I became an Anbu directly under the Hokage. Tenzo is my code name in Anbu. Tenzo briefly introduced his identity and experience, and then put on the Anbu mask again, and then said, more specific involves some secrets, and I can't tell you more for the time being. But since you call me teacher, I will definitely do my best to teach you. Although my wood style is limited in power, it is far from comparable to Shodai, and it is also much worse than you. But after all, I have used wood style for more than 10 years, and I still have some experience to pass on to you. Good guy, Mumu called him good guy. He just called him teacher, and Tenzo babble a lot, almost telling what inner tuck he wore today. Is this what is called a man who dies for his friend? I have learned nothing, I have learned nothing. Next, I will help you test the nature transformation of chakra. Tianzang took out the test paper and taught Mumu how to use it. It was soon determined that Mumu's current chakra attributes were water and earth. It was not beyond Tianzang's expectation. After all, wood style is a fusion of two nature transformations, water and earth. Although Mumu has awakened wood style, he used it by chance yesterday. But when he tried it again later, he always felt that something was missing. The wood style he used was still the same as when he just awakened, like a low-quality wood that had been weathered for many years. Tianzang told Mumu that this was because Mumu had not yet mastered the nature transformation of earth and water. If you want to use the authentic wood style, you must be proficient in using these two nature transformations. So for the next period of time, the first thing Mumu has to do is to learn these two nature transformations. Earth style and water style are both mainly for defense and attack. Earth style can control soil, and water style can control water flow. To practice earth style nature transformation, you just need to stick your hands into the soil and use chakra to constantly manipulate them to move, splice, and combine them into various shapes. The larger the amount of soil that can be manipulated and the wider the range, the stronger the nature transformation. Similarly, water style also manipulates water in the same way. There is no shortcut. These two abilities can only be practiced, and practice makes perfect. Miu Miu was not polite. In front of Tianzang, he used hundreds of shadow clone to practice at once. They practiced for half an hour each, then released shadow clone, summarized the experience, and then continued to clone. The biggest difference between Miu Miu and Naruto is that Naruto can only use the body memory method, and occasionally he can get the trick with a flash of inspiration. But Miu Miu is different. At least his cultural courses are qualified and he knows how to analyze with his brain. Just like Sasuke practiced Chidori, he had to learn lightning-style nature transformation first, which only took a month. If he also had a lot of chakra to support the shadow clone practice method, 30 shadow clone would only take 1 day. Of course, shadow clone can only be stacked after accumulating experience after being released, and there is a loss ratio. 30 shadow clone is not enough, 50 is enough. Miu Miu's cultural studies are not worse than Sasuke. He only used hundreds of shadow clone twice, half an hour each time. In an hour, you can learn and master a nature transformation. So after 2 hours, Miu Miu has mastered both water style and earth style. This method can only be used by someone like you who has a huge chakra. Tianzang was stunned to see Miu Miu master the water style and earth style so quickly. He couldn't help but sigh, but your own talent is also extremely amazing. Even without shadow clone, it only takes a few days to master a nature transformation at most. Maybe this is a natural wood style physique. It's not difficult for you to control ordinary nature transformations. It would take a month or so for ordinary people to master a nature transformation. For example, Uchiha Itachi practiced fire style and could use it at a glance. After all, that was just an exception. Miu Miu stood there at this time, with his palms turned up, and chakra condensed in his palms. There were many soil particles churning on his left hand, and many water droplets swaying on his right hand. Seeing this, Tianzang said, "Now you can use wood style by fusing the two nature transformations together. You have to figure out the specific proportions yourself. My wood style is different from yours, so the data will definitely be different. Telling you will only mislead you." Miu Miu nodded and tentatively put the chakras on his two hands together. Soon he felt that the two chakras of different natures blended with each other, just like water seeping into the soil, and the process was unexpectedly smooth. But as more and more chakras were fused, Miu Miu began to lose control. "Release your chakra now, otherwise you will lose control," Tianzang shouted. Miu Miu immediately did as he was told and aimed his chakra at the ground next to him. The next moment, a dark charred wood suddenly jumped out of the ground and quickly grew into a big tree. Unfortunately, there were only trunks and branches, no leaves. And the tree was black, as if it had been struck by lightning. Tianzang came over and checked for a while, and judged, this is because the nature transformation of water is insufficient, and the amount should be increased. On the contrary, if the nature transformation of water is too much, the ground may become concrete, and no trees can grow. But you can use it successfully for the first time, even if it is just inferior, it is already very impressive. Tianzang couldn't help but sigh again, thinking back to the time when he spent quite a long time to master the most basic wood style application. With Mumu's current progress, I'm afraid he can complete it within today. Mumu pondered for a while, and used 100 shadow clone again, and used each shadow clone once. Of course, none of them succeeded, either too much water or too much soil, but it was much better than Mumu's first time. Afterwards, Mumu released the shadow clone technique, and he summed up a lot of experience in an instant. At this time, because of the repeated use of shadow clone, plus so much experience accumulated, his mental impact was also very great, and Mumu couldn't help showing a tired look. You are too impatient, Tianzang reminded. If you use shadow clone too frequently, your consumption will also have a cumulative effect. It is better to let them practice first and then cancel it when it is almost time. Your main body can also take the opportunity to rest more and have a buffer time. But Miu Miu did not answer. He closed his eyes and felt it carefully for a while, and then the corners of his mouth rose. No way. Seeing Miu Miu's expression, Tianzang's heart skipped a beat. Don't tell him, you have control now. Soon, Miu Miu told him the answer. Wood style. Miu Miu clapped his hands and let out a low shout. Then, in front of him, a young bud broke out of the ground and grew rapidly. In the blink of an eye, it became a towering tree. The trunk required at least 3 people to hug, and it was more than 10 meters high. The treetops were densely packed with leaves. Tianzang couldn't help but gasp when he saw this scene. It really worked, and the effect of the first use was even more than he had to use all his strength to achieve. Is this the real wood style? Tianzang murmured. I have to say that he was hit. He had practiced the best thing for more than 10 years, but was defeated by a novice in his first attempt. This feeling would not be good for anyone. Fortunately, Miu Miu became his student, and the better he was, the more proud he was. Thinking of this, Tianzang felt much more comfortable. I can't do it anymore. Miu Miu soon sat on the ground with a tired face. Using multiple shadow clone for many times in a row, 100 each time. The amount of chakra consumed is unimaginable, but Miu Miu's current physique can still bear it. Mainly when removing shadow clone, a large amount of information hits the brain at the same time. Not to mention that Miu Miu is a normal person, even the computer CPU may burn out. It is no wonder that multiple shadow clone is listed as a forbidden technique, not just because it consumes chakra. If you don't have a strong brain capacity, you will easily go crazy. Today's progress has exceeded your imagination. It's okay to rest for a while. Tianzang patted Mumu with a look of relief and said, I thought I would have to train you for at least a few months, but now it seems that you will be able to become a master in a few days. Mumu grinned and said, this is all thanks to the teaching of teacher Tianzang. If I rely on myself to explore, it may take several months or even years to reach the current level. Although this statement is a bit of a deliberate flattery, it is indeed true. Mumu has read the original work and knows that wood style is a fusion of 2 nature transformations, earth and water. But I didn't expect that the reason why his wood style is so inferior is because he has not mastered the 2 nature transformations of earth and water. Just this point alone may be thought of at any time, and it may block you for a lifetime. Now that Tianzang has told Mumu directly, Mumu has avoided many detours. So Mumu also sincerely wants to thank Tianzang. Hearing this, Tenzo showed an extremely satisfied expression behind the Anbu mask. Ahem. Tenzo coughed dryly and said, I was entrusted by the 3rd generation, so I will do my best. If your ability can grow, it will be very important to the village. Besides, you call me teacher, so I can't hold back. I'm afraid that my ability is limited and I can't teach you too much. According to Mumu's performance today, Tenzo felt that he would be exhausted by Mumu in a few days. Of course, even so, Tenzo was enjoying it. So, when Mumu was resting, Tenzo took the initiative to buy him a drink. Mumu also took this opportunity to turn his attention to the chat group and took a brief look at the chat records during his absence. There was no useful information. Ino was complaining that the D-level mission was too boring, and little Sakura was complaining that Kakashi was really like the future video and had not come yet. Hinata enjoyed this slow pace, while Karen expressed her envy of them. As for Tenten, she seems to have no major missions recently. She is doing D-level missions like Ino and the others, and then practicing on her own. Mumu used remote monitoring to check Enko's side. It seems that she is just patrolling the surrounding areas of Konoha, but she is with Shien, which cheers Mumu up. The woods outside Konoha village. Why have you been following me? Azuki Yugao, who was squatting on the treetops and wearing an Anbu mask on her face, said to Enko beside her speechlessly. Today they were responsible for the daily patrol of the woods outside the village. Enko was in the open, and Yugao, as an Anbu, was naturally a secret sentry. But half an hour ago, after Yugao was discovered by Enko followed her wherever she went. How could she be a secret sentry? Enko did not reply directly, but looked up and down at Yugao, and praised. From this point of view, she is indeed a very good woman, but a little bit fierce. As she said this, she also supported herself in front of her, and she was still a little proud. Yugao's face was immediately full of black lines, and the corners of her mouth twitched slightly. She growled in a calm voice, "What are you doing here? If you have nothing to do, don't disturb me on patrol. What if there is an emergency? Do I need to remind you of this?" Enko took a bite of the three-color meatball in her hand, and a look of disgust appeared on her face. She sighed inwardly. After eating Mu's meatballs, eating three-color meatballs was simply tasteless. Sure enough, she had to think of a way to let Mu make more meatballs for her so that she would never have to worry about food. Originally, she planned to let Mu live in her house, and then fulfill her wife's obligations in exchange for Mu's meatballs. Anyway, for her, that kind of thing would happen sooner or later, and she didn't care so much. But after leaving Mu's house, she bought some three-color meatballs and found that she was not used to eating them. So she began to worry. According to Mu's stubborn personality in the morning, if only Enko was a bargaining chip, it would not be convincing enough. No matter how heartless Enko was, she knew that things that were too easy to get seemed cheap. But she really couldn't package herself to be more valuable, so she set her sights on Shiyan. If she packed Shiyan and gave her to Mu, this bargaining chip should be enough, right? Enko was a person who did what she thought, which was why she approached Shiyan at this time. She was thinking about how to pack Shiyan. Seeing that she was silent for a long time and looked at her with some ill intentions, Shiyan shuddered for no reason. "Okay, I can hide even if I can't afford to offend you. If you like to stay here, I'll give you this position, and I'll go to patrol somewhere else." Shiyan didn't give Enko a chance to react, and directly used the body flicker technique to leave. This time, Enko didn't chase after her, and continued to bite the three-color meatball with a look of disgust. "Although I can't make the poison that Orochimaru used, I can buy it somewhere with similar effects." Enko murmured to himself, "How about we think of a way to poison Shiyan? Anyway, I did the same thing in the video, and she became my good sister after that. As long as Mu is happy, he can handle this relationship well by himself, so I don't have to worry too much. Besides, Shiyan likes that Jifeng, who looks like he's going to die at any time. Shiyan is better off with Mu than with him. He is the only wood-style bloodline after Shodai. Shiyan should thank me when the time comes. Well, that's it. Go buy medicine now." After Enko finished speaking, he left a clone on the spot to continue patrolling, and the main body went back to the village. This scene was perfectly received by Mu through remote monitoring. Mu didn't know what his mood was at this time. He was happy, expectant, and speechless. Shiyan's figure and appearance are needless to say, absolutely stunning. Mu naturally wanted it. If Enko offered it to him, Mu would definitely not refuse. I just feel that if the plot really develops like this, it is a bit dramatic and too disrespectful to Shiyan. However, Enko did not discuss it with him in advance. This is her own decision, and Mu has no reason to intervene. Well, let it go. Mu quickly made a decision and pretended to know nothing. Swish. At this time, Tianzang came back and handed a bag to Mu. "Here you go. Replenish some energy and water first, and then practice after you have rested enough." Tian Zhang seemed to be worried that Miu Miu would be eager for quick success, so he reminded him. Miu Miu opened the bag and saw a bottle of drink, some barbecue skewers, and meat and vegetables. Tian Zhang saw the surprise in Miu Miu's eyes and smiled. You just consumed a lot of energy. Eat more meat to recover faster, but it will be more nutritious if you eat more meat and vegetables. Miu Miu felt funny in his heart. This Tian Zhang seemed a little cute. Teacher Tianzhang, you bought too much. I can't finish it all by myself. Miu Miu didn't mention the money to him, but gave some to Tianzhang. Tianzhang didn't consider himself, because he didn't consume anything just now. He just moved his lips to instruct Miu Miu, and most of the time he was watching from the side. So what he bought was just enough for Miu Miu to replenish his physical strength. Miu Miu's words were obviously not true, and Tianzhang subconsciously wanted to refuse. But seeing Miu Miu's firm eyes, as if he meant, if you don't eat, I won't eat either, the words got stuck in his throat when they reached his mouth. Okay, really. Tianzhang resisted the warmth in his eyes, tried to make his tone seem more calm, and then complained, when you are still growing up, how can you not finish such a small amount of food? Forget it this time, I will help you share some, but you can't do this in the future, you must eat more. Miu Miu just smiled and nodded, without expressing any opinion. After resting for about half an hour, the practice continued. Tianzhang did not teach Miu Miu new knowledge, but just let him continue to perform the basic wood style technique and use it proficiently. Miu Miu also knew that if you want to do your job well, you must first sharpen your tools. Now lay a good foundation first, so that you can master more advanced abilities in the future. There are still 100 shadow clones, performing wood style continuously. The trees cast by wood style, if they continue to consume chakra, will increase their strength. After reaching a certain level, these trees can become real trees. But if you withdraw chakra output before reaching that point, these trees will soon wither and turn into light spots and dissipate. Miu Miu is now practicing wood style, not planting trees, and of course he will not waste chakra meaninglessly. So from a distance, you can see a very magical scene. The place where Miu Miu is always inexplicably appears dozens of big trees, and then quickly withers, and then dozens of big trees appear again, and quickly withers again. Miu Miu tirelessly carries out this boring and monotonous practice, which lasts a whole day, and is still carried out by 100 shadow clones together. Except for a short break at lunch, he never stopped. He was so diligent and calm, never complained, and never slacked off, which made Tianzhang, who was with him the whole time, very happy. Tianzhang could foresee that it would not take too long for Miu Miu's name to be heard throughout the ninja world. And this person was his student, brought up by him personally. While Miu Miu was practicing selflessly, the 7th team finally waited for the late Kakashi at the 3rd training ground. What surprised Kakashi was that after he finished explaining the rules and announced the start of the exercise, the 3 members of the 7th team did not hide and wait for the opportunity as he expected, but surrounded him together. Come on, let's fight it out. Naruto faced Kakashi carelessly, with his hands in front of him, as if he had already won. Kakashi's face suddenly became dark, and he glanced at the 3 members, and immediately made a judgment in his heart. However, he did not show any expression on his face, but looked helpless and speechless, and sighed, I say, have you forgotten what the most basic thing about ninjas is? Are you going to confront me head on like this? Or is there something wrong with your brain? The problem is your hairstyle. Naruto roared and rushed directly towards Kakashi, and little Sakura and Sasuke also looked vigilant and supported him from the side. Kakashi reached into his pocket, causing Naruto to stop in his tracks. He pulled out a book called Intimate Paradise from his pocket and said, one of the ninja tactics, the key to physical skills, let me teach you. What are you doing? Come on. That, Naruto said in confusion, why are you holding the book? After Kakashi explained that he was just curious about the subsequent plot in the book, Naruto immediately felt insulted and rushed towards Kakashi fiercely again. It's a pity that he was so fierce, but his performance was so bad. Naruto's all-out close combat was easily blocked by Kakashi while he was reading a book, and finally he was flanked by a fierce 1,000 years of death. Sakura and Sasuke, who were there to assist but never took any action, also turned into white smoke and dissipated when Naruto was hit by 1,000 years of death. Sure enough, It's Shadow Clone plus transformation technique, to attract my attention. Kakashi glanced at it from the corner of his eye and understood it in his heart. Although Naruto's behavior made him feel stupid, this tactic was worthy of recognition, but the person who executed it was not very reliable. That idiot, little Sakura and Sasuke, who had been hiding for a long time, saw this scene and cursed in their hearts. Before Kakashi arrived, little Sakura had used the foresight from the future video to remind Sasuke and Naruto that they should work as a team during the assessment. After understanding each other's abilities, under Sasuke's arrangement, Naruto first used Shadow Clone plus transformation technique to attract Kakashi's attention, while Sasuke and little Sakura hid in advance to find the opportunity to attack. As a result, Naruto was exposed just at the beginning. The two shadow clones used for coordination stood there stupidly, just watching Naruto fight Kakashi alone. Anyone who saw it would think there was something wrong. Fortunately, Naruto was still Naruto, and he did not give up. He quickly surrounded Kakashi with the human wave tactics. Although the plan could not keep up with the changes, the current situation also achieved the effect that Sasuke wanted. It was just that the previous transformation technique was exposed, so Kakashi was prepared in advance, and he would definitely be wary of Sasuke and little Sakura hiding in the dark. While Naruto's many shadow clone attacked Kakashi, Sasuke threw several shurikens, launched from the blind spot, and attacked together with Naruto's shadow clone. Sure enough, it still failed and was noticed by the prepared Kakashi. Second ninja tactic experience, ninjutsu. Kakashi jumped back and used the river behind him to launch the water-style technique, killing a large number of Naruto's shadow clone while blocking Sasuke's shuriken. Fire-style Great Fireball technique. Before Kakashi could stand firm, Sasuke jumped out from the dark and delivered extreme damage to Kakashi's face. At the same time, little Sakura also rushed out from the other direction, throwing out several kunai to block the space where Kakashi could dodge. The cooperation between the two surprised Kakashi, but of course he couldn't do anything to him at this level. Kakashi quickly formed a seal and pressed his hands on the ground. Several earth walls with dog heads carved on them rose from the ground, blocking the attacks of Sasuke and little Sakura. Is this Jonin? Sasuke cursed inwardly. Kakashi's reaction was too fast, and the ninjutsu he used was not something he could break at this stage. While he was distracted by the dog head earth wall, Kakashi had already launched a sneak attack from underground. With a move of the mind decapitation technique, Sasuke was dragged underground and buried, leaving only a human head outside. Little Sakura looked anxious and ran towards Sasuke without any cover, wanting to rescue him. This behavior disappointed Kakashi, who stood in front of little Sakura. The third ninja tactic is illusion. Little Sakura collapsed, but Kakashi became alert. Little Sakura, who was hit by the illusion, quickly turned into an illusion and disappeared. This was just an ordinary clone technique. Little Sakura's real body had taken the opportunity to approach Kakashi and started a close combat with him with a kunai. The agile speed and fierce power surprised even Kakashi. The close combat ability shown by little Sakura was far inferior to Naruto, and even Sasuke could not match it. And little Sakura had a very accurate grasp of the timing. Once he found that he could not avoid Kakashi's attack, he would use the body replacement technique in advance and attack Kakashi again from another direction. The body replacement technique was used very flexibly by little Sakura, and Danzo would be ashamed to death if he saw it. At the same time, Naruto also took the opportunity to rescue Sasuke. After that, the three little ones formally surrounded Kakashi, and the three of them joined forces to besiege him. Kakashi was relieved and no longer used powerful moves. He just fought with the three little ones. Until the three of them were exhausted, they couldn't hurt Kakashi at all. During this period, only Sasuke touched the bell with his fingers. However, their performance has won Kakashi's recognition, and he directly announced that they passed the assessment. Team 7 was officially established and will start the first mission of the team tomorrow. Great, great, Naruto jumped and jumped with joy. He was exhausted just now, but he was fully revived in just a few minutes. This physical strength made little Sakura and Sasuke envious. Although there is a 250% buff effect of the group system, my performance is still not as good as Sasuke and Naruto. Little Sakura felt a little disappointed. With the buff effect, her melee ability has indeed been strengthened a lot, but it's a pity that she can't do anything except three-body technique. Sasuke can perform fire style and has superb shuriken techniques. Naruto has superb physical strength, and the human wave tactics give Kakashi a headache. So in the melee just now, little Sakura was still the one who played by the side. No, I don't want to be like in the future video, where I can only watch when I encounter danger. Little Sakura's eyes soon became firm. I want to go to the hospital to learn medical skills, and deepen my relationship with Miu Miu to improve the group level. Hey, if you have anything to say, just say it directly. We have known each other for a long time. You have never been this kind of shy character. What happened today? After finishing a day's task, Xian was called home by Anko to have dinner together. Anko's face clearly showed that something was wrong, but he kept beating around the bush. Xian didn't want to play dumb with her anymore, so she just came clean. Anko didn't care and said with a smile, "Don't worry, eat first, and talk after you finish eating." Anko specially ordered a table of good dishes outside just to entertain Xian. Xian didn't buy it and said coldly, "If you don't explain clearly, I dare not eat this meal." "Oh, just eat first, and I'll tell you after you finish eating. I promise it's definitely a good thing." Anko took the initiative to pick up food for Xian. There was no way, Xian could only sigh and eat a few bites with a helpless look. But soon, she felt something was wrong and her eyes widened. "What on earth did you do?" "Ding. Congratulations on achieving the achievement of reading 50 chapters and opening the third sign-in. Successful sign-in can get a wealth card. After activating the wealth card, there will be 10 opportunities to double the assets, which will be triggered at irregular intervals and without time limit." "What on earth did you do?" After Xian noticed something was wrong with her body, she stood up with a look of disbelief. But because of the big movement, the blood circulation was accelerated, which made her brain sink, and she fell back weakly. At this moment, Xian's face was a little pale, and she couldn't help but start to think wildly. She was sure that the person in front of her was Anko himself, but why did he drug her? What kind of malice did he have? "Oh, I told you it's a good thing, don't worry." Anko smiled, walked over and touched Xian's face, and exclaimed, "I didn't expect your skin to be so smooth and white after being exposed to the wind and sun all day long. He will definitely like it." Xian's heart skipped a beat. What does this mean? Who is he? "Anko, you attacked your companions. Are you planning to betray the village?" Xian was a little panicked, but she still forced herself to ask in a stern voice. 280. Unfortunately, Anko didn't take it seriously at all, and continued to laugh. Okay, I won't hurt you, and you will have to thank me in the future. Now you can have a good sleep, and you will know what happened when you wake up." Anko patted Xian's body lightly, and Xian wanted to say something else, but her eyes rolled back and she fell down. "If it was just because of the future video, I would definitely not do this." Anko restrained the smile on his face, looked at Xian who was sleeping, and sighed softly. "But for many reasons, this should be the best outcome for you. Even if you blame me and hate me later, it doesn't matter." After Anko finished speaking, she quickly calmed down, put Xian in her room, locked the door, and then set out to help Miu Miu move. She was not a sentimental person. Since she had made a decision, she would not drag her feet. Miu Miu finished her training and took the time to check the chat group on the way home. Haruno Sakura. Hehe, I successfully passed the assessment. And it was based on strength and wisdom, not luck like in the video. From now on, I am also a real genin. Hyuga Hinata. Congratulations, little Sakura, keep it up. Uzumaki Karen. That's great, although I envy you, I am happy for you. Haruno Sakura. Thank you Hinata, thank you Karen, love you, Mua. Yamanaka Ino. You just avoided the danger in advance because you watched the future video. What's the difference between you now and you in the video? If there is no system gain, there is no difference at all, there is nothing to be proud of. Haruno Sakura. Ino Pig. Do you have to say something to spoil my fun when I am proud? Tenten. I think Jingbao is right. The system gain not only enhances our strength, but also improves our talent and understanding. We must know how to use this advantage. Yamanaka Ino. That's right, just like me, in just a few days, I have mastered the family secrets. Next, I will start to practice more advanced abilities. Tenten. I have also developed a few more powerful techniques recently. When I take the Chunin exam, I will definitely make a big splash. Hyuga Hinata. I have also mastered some new abilities. Uzumaki Shanglin. Come on, I actually learned a secret technique in the past 2 days. If there is no group system gain, it will take a long time to master it. Haruno Sakura. So, after all this bragging, the clown turned out to be me. Little Sakura is the one with the least foundation in the group. In fact, even if she wants to work hard, she has no direction. It was the last future video that reminded her that she could learn medical ninjutsu. But it was only a day later, and she hadn't had time to act yet. As a result, the others quietly mastered the new ability, and they didn't reveal any news before, but they came out to slap her in the face when she was most proud. Are there any sisters like this? Little Sakura almost fainted in the toilet, and suddenly felt that passing Kakashi's assessment was not a good thing. Miu Miu simply glanced at their chat content, smiled knowingly, and didn't think much about it. At this time, he had returned home, and to his surprise, the whole house was emptied. You're back a little late. Don't look at it. I've moved all your stuff to my house. I've taken the initiative to throw away the old stuff that needs to be discarded. Enko sat on the windowsill, swinging her long white legs, holding a string of 3-color meatballs in her hand, biting them with disgust. Miu Miu didn't care much about this, and there was nothing shameful in his stuff. Hey, when will you make me some more meatballs? Enko swallowed the last one into her mouth, sighed and came to Miu Miu's side, looking depressed and said, after eating your meatballs, I can't even eat 3-color meatballs now. You have to be responsible for this, so it's better to make more and keep them at home. Miu Miu said with a smile, what kind of meatballs are you talking about? Enko was stunned for a moment, but quickly reacted, without any hesitation. She reached down and grabbed it lightly, smiling and said, any kind is fine. Speaking of which, this is much more delicious than the 3-color meatballs. And I don't know if you have discovered that it has a strong breath of life. After I ate it this morning, some of my hidden injuries seem to have been healed, and I feel much better. Oh. Miu Miu raised his eyebrows, not surprised at all. Yes, he has set this function in future videos. It's just that he didn't say it clearly, and he didn't expect Enko to find it so quickly. Just simply eat it, it will have the effect of beautifying and repairing hidden injuries and old diseases. If it is with Miu Miu, the effect is even comparable to Tsunade's 100 healing technique. It can even be said that except for the physique that does not have the physique of healing wounds without seals, the other effects are stronger than the 100 healing technique. Tsunade only keeps her youthful appearance, but she can really regain her youth after being with Miu Miu. Under the irrigation of the huge life breath, the quality and quantity of chakra can be improved, the physique will become better, and the lifespan can be extended. For Miu Miu, it is just a loss of some wood style's life breath, which can be replenished by resting, even if it is consumed chakra. With this setting, we can add another chip 3.7 for the future harem, which is also the biggest chip. Eat this meatball later. I have prepared a surprise for you at home. You will like it. Don't forget to make more meatballs and dumplings for me when the time comes. Enko just tested Miu Miu's attitude and let go. He didn't continue to push his feet, but tried to please him in another way. Miu Miu had been concentrating on practicing wood style before, but he didn't pay attention to what Enko did later. He knew that this matter was related to Shi Yan. Did he convince Shi Yan? Whether it is a surprise or not, it depends on me. Miu Miu said calmly, if it really satisfies me, I will consider making another batch for you. But if you are not satisfied, it will be difficult for you to eat meatballs in the future. Hey, I promise you will like it. Enko patted her chest without worrying at all. From the future video, she has seen Miu Miu's love for Shi Yan. Miu Miu followed Enko to her home, which was a single-family building near the commercial street, in a prime location. The building has 2 floors, each about 100 square meters. There is only a spacious hall on the first floor, which is used as a place for occasional gatherings and activities, and is usually idle. There are 2 rooms on the second floor, 1 kitchen and 1 bathroom with a balcony. The decoration style is relatively simple, which is very consistent with Enko's temperament. Miu Miu does not have high requirements for the house, as long as it is comfortable to live in. I put all your things in the guest room. Enko put her head on Miu Miu's shoulder and teased. Of course, if you want to live in the same room with me, I can accept it as long as you give me meatballs often. This is not the first time she has expressed her attitude, which shows that her obsession with meatballs is beyond imagination. Perhaps even if she becomes Miu Miu's woman, Miu Miu's position in her heart will hardly surpass meatballs. Didn't you say you prepared a surprise for me? Where is it? Miu Miu did not answer directly, but changed the subject. So anxious. Don't you want to eat something first? Enko, as a gift, is not in a hurry. Miu Miu shrugged and said, I have eaten before. If you have nothing to say, I will tidy up the room first. Quote. After finishing the training, Tianzang treated him to a big meal at his own expense, just like in the original book. In order to get closer to Team 7, the table was full of delicious meat and dishes and they couldn't finish it at all. Miu Miu thought it was interesting. Tianzang was really funny. He just called him teacher and praised him a little, and he was very open-hearted to him, wishing to give him all the best. It can be said that Miu Miu's weight in Tianzang's heart may have exceeded that of the third generation. Of course, this is under the premise of not harming the interests of the village. Okay, since you are so anxious, just follow me. Enko saw that Miu Miu was not taken in at all, and she could not help but feel bored. Originally, she wanted Miu Miu to ask her, but this little man was too hard to control, so Enko simply lowered her posture. Anyway, she had already lost the initiative from the beginning. Enko dragged Miu Miu to her room, and soon Miu Miu saw Azuki Yugao lying on the bed, in a coma. Yugao was off work, so she did not wear the Anbu mask on her face, and she had changed her usual clothes from the original work Anbu dress. At this time, she was wearing a pink kimono skirt, which was tied up with a satin string in the middle, but not completely closed, revealing a white undershirt inside. Perhaps because she was lying flat, it was not very big, so it looked a bit flat. Because the lower body was covered by the skirt, it was not possible to see whether she was wearing anything or not, and only her slender, straight and white long legs could be seen. Xian's appearance was indeed amazing, especially her long flowing purple hair, bright red cheeks, and white skin. When Miu Miu saw her for the first time, his heart was a little moved. Hee, it looks good, right? Enko said with a smile. I took a lot of effort to deal with her. You can do whatever you want to her next, it will definitely not be too much trouble. Quote. Miu Miu did have an urge to pounce on her, but he still forced himself to hold it back. Miu Miu looked at Enko speechlessly and said, Who do you think I am? And Enko said there wouldn't be much trouble, which meant there would definitely be trouble. I was expecting her to do something so that I could get Xian unexpectedly, but this is the result. Miu Miu really believed her lies. Do you really think I'm so stupid? Enko chuckled in his ear and said, I have a way to make her take the initiative. At this point, she suddenly kissed Miu Miu and even took action. Miu Miu was stunned for a moment, and really didn't know what Enko was doing. But since a beautiful woman took the initiative to come to his door, he naturally had no reason to refuse. Following the principle of neither taking the initiative nor rejecting, Kun became the passive one. He soon noticed that Enko did something to Xian, and Xian slowly woke up. From the looks of it, she had only regained consciousness, but her ability to move was still limited. If Miu Miu hadn't reacted at this point, he would have been really stupid. It had already reached the stage of real fighting, but Miu Miu suddenly pushed Enko away. Under the latter's stunned gaze, he took a deep breath for a long time before he could barely calm down his anger. I thought you would like it. Enko didn't understand what Miu Miu meant for a while. Miu Miu sighed lightly, but he couldn't blame Enko. You will only put me in an unfair position if you do this. Miu Miu pinched Enko's face lightly and said, I know you mean well, but you can't do this. I am also a person with principles and bottom lines. I won't force anyone, even you. If you don't want to, I will still make meatballs for you to eat, just as rent for living here, so you don't have to do this. After that, he didn't care what Enko thought, and injected his wood-style chakra into Xian's body. The chakra went around, and the huge life energy cleared the negative state in Xian's body, or purified it. It works, Miu Miu said secretly. He just tried this method, but he didn't expect it to be as he expected. The reason why first Hokage Senju Hashirama can heal the wounds on his body automatically without making a seal is because the wood-style chakra has a huge life energy. This energy itself can heal the wounds automatically and clear the abnormal state. It has nothing to do with ability, it is simply a characteristic of the attribute, an innate buff. So Mew Mew can do this under the premise that he has mastered wood style. Sure enough, Shi Yan quickly regained her ability to move, and 407 turned over and jumped up from the bed. Her first reaction was to kick Anko. Fortunately, Anko was prepared, and she jumped to the side with a smile, avoiding Shi Yan's kick. Because Shi Yan was wearing a short skirt kimono, which was not closed, her foot was raised high. From Mew Mew's angle, he saw everything. White and translucent, with a little lace pattern. This made Mew Mew, who was in his prime, feel hot in the nose, and he almost bled. Fortunately, he was also a person who had experienced storms in his previous life, so he would not be so easily embarrassed. He just took the opportunity to secretly record it with Sharingan, and immediately closed Sharingan to prevent people from finding out. Then he looked away, posing as a gentleman. Mitarashi Anko, if you don't give me an explanation today, I'm not done with you. Shi Yan shouted angrily. Her attention was all on Anko, and she didn't notice Mew Mew's little move. She was so angry about Anko's behavior. Anko was obviously stunned for a moment, and complained in a low voice, "This reaction is wrong, is there something wrong with the future video?" Mew Mew's face was suddenly black, he knew what Anko meant. In the future video, Shi Yan always said nothing with a cold face after the incident, and then left in silence, but now she was directly furious. Mew Mew wanted to say, "Please, after being succeeded, and almost being succeeded, these are two different situations, big sister. Mitarashi Anko, either tell the truth or we will go to the third generation adults to argue now." Shi Yan stared at Anko with a frosty face, clenched her silver teeth, and looked like she wanted to eat her. Although she also noticed that there was a boy present, and it was this man who saved her with a special chakra. But Shi Yan was not grateful. In her opinion, Mew Mew and Anko were in the same group. And what the two did just now made her feel humiliated. The two kissed in front of her just to trigger the feeling in her body and then take the initiative to progress. The drug Anko gave her not only made her feel weak all over, but also actively hallucinated. Mew Mew cleared her that state, which could only be said to be a stop at the edge of the cliff. Anko smiled embarrassedly and looked at Mew Mew subconsciously. She knew that if she told the truth, it would only arouse Shi Yan's greater anger. If she had followed her script, it would have been like the future video, and she would have been able to make Shi Yan surrender with a little more persuasion. At least Hong herself thought so. But now she gave up halfway, and it would not be convincing enough to say that. "Sister Shi Yan, don't be angry first, at least it hasn't caused an irreparable mistake, right?" Mew Mew sighed lightly and could only speak. He didn't want to clean up the mess for Anko, the tiger girl, but these two were the women he liked, and he couldn't really let them ruin their relationship. Shi Yan looked at Mew Mew with a cold face. "So, do you want me to pretend that nothing happened? And who are you? What role did you play in this matter?" "My name is Mew Mew, I just joined Anbu and am a subordinate of Teacher Tianzang." Mew Mew said. "Even if it's for the sake of Teacher Tianzang, can you please calm down first and let's talk it out?" Shi Yan was slightly stunned. She didn't expect that Mew Mew was also Anbu's person. Perhaps because Mew Mew's attitude was more sincere, and Shi Yan also knew that Anko's personality was always unreliable and occasionally did things that were difficult to understand. So in the end, she still suppressed her anger and went to the living room with Mew Mew. Mew Mew pondered for a moment, and said in a measured tone, "In fact, I roughly know why Sister Anko did this." Shi Yan had a cold face and did not respond, just waiting for Mew Mew's next words. Anko's face flashed with surprise. How did Mew Mew know this? She didn't tell anyone about this. And according to her understanding, Mew Mew was a new graduate this year. Why could he reveal Shi Yan's name and identity? I don't understand. I don't understand at all. The next moment, I heard Mew Mew say, "You also know that Sister Anko loves snacks like meatballs. Except for necessary tasks, she basically eats meatballs. It just so happens that I know some unique secret recipes that can make some snacks that are better than those on the market." In order to let me make them for her, she sacrificed her beauty to please me and even asked me to move to her house. Shi Yan believed what Miu Miu said. This is something Anko can do. But what does this have to do with me? Shi Yan interrupted Miu Miu directly. She just wanted to know what Anko was calculating against her and why he betrayed her. As for the rest, Shi Yan had no interest at all. Miu Miu explained, because I have a special physique, she can't satisfy me by herself, and she is worried that I will not be happy and will not make meatballs for her, so I want to find someone to share the burden. At this point, Anko's eyes widened. This is indeed her concern, but she learned about it from the future video. But the reality is that she only ate Miu Miu's meatballs in the morning, and the two have not made any substantial progress. How did Miu Miu come to this conclusion? But soon, Anko found the answer herself. Miu Miu can't see the future video and doesn't know the content inside, but Miu Miu knows his own physique. The reason for saying this may just be to find a reasonable reason to prevaricate Shi Yan. Shi Yan also widened her eyes, and her whole face turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. It's true that she has a boyfriend, but apart from training together, there is no other contact between the two. After all, they are all ninjas, each has their own things to do, and excessive contact with each other's body is not allowed. So, Xian is still a virgin, how can she listen to such explicit words? But Mumu didn't realize it at all. Without waiting for Xian to continue asking questions, he continued, in addition, women who are with me will also be affected by my special physique and get great benefits. Sister Xian also knows that Sister Anko is more open-minded and doesn't shy away from things between men and women. The reason why she did these things to you, in addition to wanting to find someone to share the pressure, is also to let you get benefits from me. The original intention was good, but I just ignored your feelings. Anko actually didn't know what benefits Mumu said she could get after being with him. But what Mumu said was indeed most of her thoughts. So after Miu Miu finished speaking, she nodded repeatedly and said, yes, that's it. Shi Yan, I'm doing this for your own good, not to harm you. Today I saw Ji Feng near the hospital and happened to hear his conversation with the doctor. Ji Feng's illness is very serious, and the doctor is trying to persuade him not to be a ninja, saying that this will only consume his vitality. His body can only be recuperated for a long time, and he can't work hard or exert himself. Maybe he can live a few more years this way. You won't get anything by being with him, and it will also consume his energy and your own energy. But if you are with Miu Miu, you don't have to worry about this. Anko's words made Miu Miu almost give her a thumbs up. Her brain circuit is indeed quite strange, but according to her personality, it is completely understandable. Sure enough, Shi Yan also accepted this reason. At this time, she didn't know whether she should be happy to have such a good friend who cares about her, or continue to be angry that she made random assumptions on her own initiative. My business money is none of your business. Finally, Shi Yan still put on a cold face and shouted in a deep voice, Ji Feng's disease can definitely be cured, I believe in him. Shi Yan waved her hand and stood up, saying coldly, since nothing irreversible has happened, and for Miu Miu's sake, I won't bother with you this time, but there must be no next time, otherwise I will never let you go. After saying that, without waiting for Anko's response, she flashed away from Za. But Miu Miu knew very well that what happened today had a great impact on Shi Yan. Whether it would affect her relationship with Moonlight Ji Feng, Miu Miu was not sure, but it would definitely leave a thorn in her heart, and it might explode one day. For the sake of Moonlight Ji Feng's health, she would also take the initiative to keep a distance from him. Although Anko did a stupid thing, in the end, it was a good thing for Miu Miu. Ah, so annoying, how could things turn out like this? Anko grabbed her hair in annoyance. Ah, I'm so annoyed, how could things turn out like this? Anko grabbed her hair in annoyance. Miu Miu glanced at her speechlessly and said unhappily, how dare you say that? Isn't this all your fault? I really don't know what you are thinking. How could a dignified Konoha Jonin do such a stupid thing? It's all because of the future video. Otherwise, why would I choose to drug her? Anko muttered in a low voice. It was because she saw in the future video that Miu Miu was poisoned and stayed with her and Shi Yan. But Shi Yan didn't react too strongly and really lived with them in the end. So Anko took it for granted that as long as the future video was replicated, the result would naturally be the same. But she didn't think that the video was an accident, and Mew's danger was not what he thought. And this time, it was Anko who took the initiative to design it. The starting point is different, how can the direction be the same? However, at this time, the matter has been considered in the past, and Anko didn't think about it anymore. She turned around and rode on Mew. Looking down from above, he said with a grin, "You still know that I am Konoha's special Jonin. You are a rookie who just graduated from the ninja school, but you don't even give me any face. I have lost a lot of people today, and I have paid a lot for you. This matter cannot be solved without 10 strings of meatballs and 10 baskets of crystal dumplings." Anko was a little angry at this time. She didn't want to argue with Mew anymore, and wanted to threaten with violence directly. Mew lay flat on the sofa. Looking up from below, the scenery from this angle was really good. And at this time, Anko's reaction made him feel a little cute. But as a man, it is naturally impossible to be bullied by a woman. On the contrary, Tien Gang, how can this be? Special Jonin, very powerful. Mew chuckled, and the chakra on his body burst out, easily pushing Anko away. Anko was caught off guard and was pushed to the back. As a result, before she fell, Mew turned over and did a dragon and phoenix reversal. "What do you say now?" Mumu sat on Anko and said with a little pride, "Special Jonin is nothing special." Looking from above, the scenery from this angle is also good, with a different taste. "Your chakra is so strong." Anko was really surprised. Of course she knew that Mumu had awakened the wood style, but according to the content of the future video, it has only been awakened for a day, right? So Anko didn't take Mumu seriously at all, even now it was just a moment of carelessness. CDBH, no matter how strong your chakra is, you are just a genin. Anko was aroused by the desire to win, and snorted and burst out the chakra in her body. Although not as big as Mumu, she is a special Jonin, and the quality is far from that of genin. Unfortunately, this is just what she thought. Originally, she wanted to compete with Mumu through chakra burst, but it didn't work. Mumu still sat steadily on her. How is it possible? Anko tried several times but it didn't work. Mew looked at her with a smile on his face, letting her try there. If that's the case, then how about this? Anko didn't give up, raised his right hand, and several snakes jumped out from his sleeves in an instant. Hidden snake hand. The snakes that were suddenly released can be used to attack or to tie up. Anko naturally didn't want to hurt Mew, so several snakes were divided into several directions and coiled around Mew. Anko also took advantage of this time to push his body hard, ready to break free from the control of the trap. The result was that Mew put his hands together, and several vines flew out from his body, tying up the snakes that were wrapped around him. Facing Anko's counterattack, Mew used his legs to push his hands in front of her and pushed Anko back again. Anko's upper body, which had just been raised, collapsed again. In addition, the key part in front of her was pressed, and she couldn't help but let out a cry. No matter how carefree her personality is, she is a girl after all, and she will always react. Even if she ate Mew's meatballs in the morning, Mew didn't touch her at that time. Now it can be said that for the first time in her life, a strange feeling spread throughout her body, making Anko's whole body instantly soft and weak. The snakes summoned by chakra soon disappeared. But Mew did not retract the vines, but controlled them and tied Anko up. At this time, Anko was weak and had lost the power to resist. She lay down and said, "I underestimated you. I didn't expect that you just graduated 2 days ago, but you have such strength. And this ability, is it wood style?" Well, as expected of a special Jonin, he still has the acting skills he should have, and he really pretends to be so serious. Mew chuckled and said, "It is indeed wood style, and with your strength, you can't break free. Today, I have been practicing the basics all day, and it is not in vain." Although Mew does not know any powerful ninjutsu at this time, his basic attributes are no worse than Jonin. Powerful blood limit, huge amount of chakra, plus amazing physique. This does not include Sharingan. Ordinary Jonin can't last a few rounds in front of Mew if they don't have any special means. If Mew can master a few more conventional ninjutsu, he can fight with elite Jonin. If there is another bottom-up trick, cage level can also touch. No way, the setting of the Hokage world is so unreasonable. In the early days of Shippuden, Naruto was at best a jonin, not considering the power of 9 tails. After coming back and learning wind-style Rasenshuriken, he could fight against cage level. Uchiha Obito, the last one, barely even wanted to be a minister nin. In the end, he defeated Jonin immediately just because he opened the 2 Magatama Sharingan. With a Mangekyo, he even defeated the 4th Hokage. A talented person can reach the peak as long as his ability is activated. So, wanting to defeat a genius by hard work, you can only live in a dream. Enko tried a few times and found that even if she tried her best, she couldn't break free from Mumu's restraints, so she gave up quickly. You are worthy of being the man of my future, Mitarashi Enko, you are really amazing. Enko licked his lips, not at all hit, but with an admiring look on his face. You know, Mumu is just the age of graduating from the ninja school now, and there is still a lot of room for growth in the future. Hey, Mumu. Enko let Mumu's hand still press there, and asked with a little curiosity, you just told Shion that being with you can get a lot of benefits, what is that benefit? Want to know? Mumu leaned over and chuckled, then I'll tell you now. It's pale and powerless to describe it with words, so Mumu simply put it into practice and proved his words with actions. Originally, Mumu had been deceived several times today, and he had been holding back his anger. Now the time is right, and Enko must bear it. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.